Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. The big show is on your radio. This is ESPN Upstate. How's it going, y'all? Great to be with you right here. 97.7 FM Greenville, 97.1 FM Spartanburg, all around the world on the radio.com application and on ESPNUpstate.com. I am Rob Brown. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. Top of the morning to you. What's happening? Hope you guys are having a great week. Hope you're having a great Wednesday so far. The midpoint has arrived. We're on the backslide, ladies and gentlemen. The third quarter of the week is underway to the network studios. We go to say good morning, top of the morning to my man DJ Drew, hanging out back there in the palatial ESPN Upstate Studios, in charge of buttons, switches, levers, knobs, gears, pulleys, and other assorted devices required to make the show sound as good as it does. Drew, what's up, fella?
Happy St. Day. I'm normally not the type of person to get all excited about the weekend because I love the day job. But this weekend, got to get excited about it. Because this is where madness starts happening, starting with getting your drinks on today. So officially happy hump day. We are almost to the weekend. Very excited about that.
Yeah, buddy, and a great weekend. It's going to be first round. We'll kick off on Friday. We'll technically first round kicks off tomorrow night with a handful of playing games. I got to ask how those playing games work, and I'm going to explain that to you. Somebody asked me yesterday why it was that the playing games are a couple of 6 teams and a couple of 11s. I'm going to tell you that coming up here in just a little while from right now. I've also got a ton of stuff that we need to talk about. I will tell you that coming up at 1:20, Kevin Marshall of FCS Radio is going to join us. FCS Nation is going to join us here on the Rob Brown Show to talk about where FCS ball stands through week 4. Our FCS rankings are out. And in those FCS rankings, Furman, number 11, 2 other teams in the Southern Conference are ranked as well. So we're going to talk about that coming up in just a little while. Of course, not terribly long from now, my man Drew, we're going to try it again. We're going to give Brady another shot on the phone line. We're going to give Brady another call. See if we can get the GOAT on the phone. That's going to be a daily segment until he answers the phone or until he blocks our number. One or the other. So we'll try that later on in the show as well. A lot of news regarding the Carolina Panthers' quest to bring Deshaun Watson into Charlotte, but it's looking more and more unlikely that will be the case. I've got some thoughts on that to share with you. We've also got Tiger Woods returning to the world of video games as a sports/nerd enthusiast. Pretty excited about that. Man, big night in NBA basketball last night. And I want to address a couple of games that we saw play out, including what happened with Big Z last night. Zion had a whale of a game. I don't know. Are you guys? Let me ask you this, and I'm going to ask you this throughout the course of the show. I'm going to ask this of you now. I'm going to ask you this later on in the program. I'm going to ask for your input, whether it's on the phone line at 844-477-3776, 844-GSP-ESPN. I'm going to ask you this, whether it's on the text line at 71307, 71307. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. And I ask you this on the Twitter device at twitter.com/The Rob Brown Show, at The Rob Brown Show on Twitter. I'm going to ask you this question, and I ask sincerely. Are you following Zion Williams' career? Are you following Zion's career? Do you care? Are you intrigued? Are you watching it play out? So here's the thing. I think in Zion Williamson, the NBA has found one of the most unique superstars of all time. I don't think Zion can be defined as a position player. I'm not going to tell you, but he plays a 4. He's a power forward. I don't think so. I think Zion Williamson is one of the most unique players, and I mean this. I'm not just saying this. He's on my squad. I think it'd be hard not to watch this guy regardless of who he played for. And in 4 years, when he leaves New Orleans because they never got good enough to justify him staying around because he's never going to win a ring there, when he goes somewhere else, I'll be happy to watch him play there too. Because I think the dude is, and I mean this, I think he's the most unique basketball player that's dominant of all time. Can play a 2 if he needs to. Guy is not incapable of shooting a 3. Can play the 3 and distribute from the wing and drive. Can play a 4. Can play a 5 if you need him to. Heck, we've seen Zion throw some passes that have made some point guards out there jealous. So the question that I have for you, and I'll ask you this throughout the course of the show. Last night, the Pels up 17 with 6 and some change to go in the fourth quarter. Game time, Dame time. A 50-point game for Damian Lillard last night. And Big D brings his squad back down 17 to win by 1. Dame gets fouled on a 3-point effort that never should have gotten a look at the rim. With 1.7 left to go, he knocks down all 3, and the Blazers end up winning by 1. It was a heartbreaking loss for the Pelicans. First time I have seen Zion Williamson just flat walk off the court. You know, ordinarily he's a guy that kind of hangs out there, gives the waves. And nope, last night, I mean, he had an opportunity at a buzzer beater that rimmed out. He was, a second away from being an absolute hero. And he just kind of untucked the jersey and stormed to the locker room. And it was off-putting. Not angry at Zion, angry at the Pelicans for having a guy play that side of that sort of game. Lonzo Ball looks good. Brandon Ingram looked good, but they just could not finish. And that's the 11th time this year that Zion's team has had an 11 or better point lead and lost the basketball game. And I'm tired of hearing, they're a young team, they're going to grow from that. Yeah, if you get punched in the mouth 11 times and you don't learn to get your guard up, it's on you when you get punched the 12th time. All right, that's just where this is. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you folks here in the upstate, I'm going to ask you guys here in the upstate, do you care? Are you following at all the progression, the career of Zion Williamson down in New Orleans as a former Spartanburg basketball player? Yes or no? What interest level do you have in Zion? I mean, obviously, I've been talking about him a lot for 2 reasons. A, obviously his connection here to the upstate, and B, the fact that he is a Pelicans player, and that's good for me. All right. We got to get the show rolling, man. We got a very, 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 very busy show for you. Let's get it kicked off this way.
Let's do lunch.
This is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. You guys are here.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
The lunch breakdown. The 3 things you have to know before you go start talking sports with your friend, family, coworker, or the dog, whoever you spend your lunch break with. This will be the scuttlebutt around the lunch table, so to speak. So let's get it going. We start, and I'm going to tell you it's going to be a little bit different today. I'm going to hit you with 2 items in this segment, and item number 3 I'm going to push to the next segment. And the reason why is because it is a chock-a-block full of news and information regarding one particular subject, and one that I think most of you, at least if you're a Carolina Panthers fan here in the upstate, actually care about. So let's get 2 items here. 3rd item in the next segment. We start with item number 1. It has been announced that no replacement teams will be taking place in the NCAA tournament. Every team will be available to make the trip and play. We found out last weekend that Louisville, Colorado State, St. Louis, and Ole Miss were selected as the replacement teams for the men's tournament, which kicks off with the first 4 on Thursday night, round 1 on Friday. But no teams have opted to withdraw from the tournament. Everybody is going to make it to Indianapolis. Pat Forty said the deadline for replacement teams is passed. None of the 68 teams have had to withdraw. So no replacement teams in the 2021 tournament, though teams could still be forced to exit Indy due to COVID-19 concerns. If a program cannot continue its season due to medical reasons, its opponents will simply advance per the NCAA's no contest policy. We know that Virginia and Kansas both had to withdraw from their respective conference tournaments after players in their program tested positive for COVID-19. As of Wednesday, both will move forward in the NCAA tournament. Teams are required to have 7 consecutive days of negative test in order to play in Indy, which includes people in the school's 34-person travel party. In addition to the test, each team must have 5 eligible players to participate. So what happens if a team does end up with the Rona? Well, look, it's at this point very simple. If they don't have the 7 days worth of negative tests and they don't have the 5 healthy players, the 5 players that are able to play, then it is at that point that team will be forced to withdraw from the tournament. The next team lined up to play them will then at that point simply advance to the next round of the tournament. Now, once players on the team and the school's travel party have been cleared, members of the travel party will be tested again, put in quarantine until producing a negative result, and will take daily PCR tests for the duration of the tournament. Players will also wear a safe tag device. We talked about them during the NBA bubble, but a few months ago. This safe tag basically registers every time it is within 6 feet of another tag, meaning that if a player does test positive for the coronavirus, then their tag will be read by software. And once it is read, it will have registered every spot that every time that it came within 6 feet of distance of others' tags. Those tags will be dinged, and those players will be considered close contact risk and addressed moving past that. So if a team does have to withdraw, the first order of business is to make sure all 31 conferences, with the exception of the Ivy League, are represented in the tournament. If a program from a conference with only one tournament bid withdraws, that team will be replaced with a team from the same conference. But as we learned earlier today, unnecessary. That was the protocol, but it is unnecessary now as every team has been cleared in order to go play. Item number 2 on your lunch breakdown, and one that brings me no joy to report to you. We learned this last night after Houston attorney Tony Busby said in an Instagram post, you know, where all serious lawyers go to post what they're doing legally, after Houston attorney Tony Busby said in an Instagram post Tuesday night that he has filed a lawsuit against quarterback Deshaun Watson of the Houston Texans, the QB put out a statement saying he looks forward to clearing his name. Now, the lawsuit, or the details of the lawsuit that Tony Busby talked about, were not provided in the Instagram post that he made. But clearly, it has some sort of sexual assault connotation attached to it. Deshaun responded quite harshly yesterday. He said, quote, as a result of a social media post by a publicity-seeking plaintiff's lawyer, I recently became aware of a lawsuit that has apparently been filed against me. I have not yet seen the complaint, but I know this. I have never treated any woman with anything other than the utmost respect. The plaintiff's lawyer claims that this isn't about money, but before filing suit, he made a baseless 6-figure settlement demand, which I quickly rejected. Unlike him, this isn't about money for me. It's about clearing my name, and I look forward to that. So we don't know what it is that Deshaun is being accused of by this attorney, but we do know what he has had to say about it. Now, I, last night when this broke, raised a bit of an eyebrow. And the reason I raised a bit of an eyebrow is because all of this lined up doesn't, I mean, Here's some of the aspects of it, right? You got a lawyer who announces the lawsuit via an Instagram post. There's no details. There's no talk about an investigation. There's no talk about anything. Now, if I'm an attorney, and I'm not, nor did I stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night, but I know a few, and I've asked a few. And what most of them have said is, this is pretty much the dumbest way that anyone would introduce a lawsuit. In fact, this is the way you would introduce a lawsuit if you were expecting to try to use the court of public opinion to push Deshaun into giving up a few $100K in order to avoid having to go through some sort of civil trial or hearings or investigation, etc., etc. I spoke to two different attorneys last night when this story broke, a couple of buddies of mine, and they both, without having spoken to each other, said the same thing. This is what they would expect you to do if you were an attorney who was trying to force someone to accept a settlement, as opposed to thinking that you were actually about to start a legitimate investigation into an alleged act of wrongdoing. The other thing that they said was that the fact that there are zero details about this outside of we've got a claim against Deshaun is a little bit off-putting. Then, when Deshaun put up his defense yesterday, I started going through and I started reading up and checking out some of the folks that know Deshaun personally that have spoken out. Benjamin Albright, who is an acquaintance of mine who works on the, I want to say the ESPN station out in Denver, Colorado, last night said that he had received, now he's very connected in the NFL world. Benjamin said that he had received multiple texts from a lot of different people, including multiple texts from Deshaun Watson's teammates, who said that this is the dumbest thing they've ever heard and they don't believe it at all. One of them went so far as to say that if this turned out to have any credibility to it, it would be the biggest shock of his NFL career. The biggest shock of his NFL career. Listen, I'm not saying that a guy's character is necessarily a get-out-of-jail-free card, but here's what I do know. What I do know is I have, since I've been here, met dozens and dozens of people who have known Deshaun Watson personally, who have interacted with Deshaun, including a number of women who said the guy has never been anything but a class act. Never been anything but a class act. So I was a little taken aback by this, a little shocked by this. I spoke with two attorneys. I read through the private comments to broadcasting buddies of mine from current NFL players, including a couple of Deshaun's teammates. And basically, this thing has no weight to it so far. Now, if they do indeed launch an investigation, let it play out, see what comes of it. But it doesn't look great for this attorney get off the, right off the bat. All right, let's do this. I want to run to a break. When we come back here in just a second, we got a lot of news regarding Deshaun Watson. We got a lot of news regarding Russell Wilson, and all of that together is going to be interesting. So we're going to take a quick break right here. When we come back, I'll get you all updated on what's going on with the last two biggest names in the quarterback free agency wheel. That's coming up next. I'm Rob. He's Drew. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. You're listening to ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google.
Hey, can you fit in a Harley Davidson right after this 30-second?
Say that again, Drew?
Oh.
Say that again?
Can you do a Harley Davidson after this?
Do we have anything in the next break?
I'm working on a health dare right now. Things are kind of crazy this morning. QC Kinetics. No, we can fit it in the next break.
All right, let's do it for the next break if you don't mind. I got to take this phone call real quick.
Okay,
Thanks.
cool.
Sorry about that. This is my little brother. He's flying in tomorrow, so we're trying to get the technicalities worked out.
No worries. It's just health there is still getting bombarded by Lonzo, who's telling me cart numbers that don't exist. So
can't help you with that, fella.
I know. And my boss is asking me to send a bunch of emails here. So there he is. All right.
Swamped.
I do have a cart number. I don't know how to pull it up. 10 seconds.
10-4.
Safely getting rid of unused prescriptions. To find drug disposal sites near you, visit justplainkillers.com.
Opinions wanted.
Well, opinions are like, well, say everybody has one.
Call 844-GSP-ESPN. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Rob Brown Show's back on your radio. It's ESPN Upstate. Let us take a quick look at what's going on in the world of quarterback free agency in the National Football League, because I got to tell you guys, after all the news that broke yesterday, the more I'm paying attention to it, the more I think Carolina Panthers fans need to go ahead and prepare yourself for two things. Number one, you are not going to get Deshaun Watson. I am sorry. I watched the news break out yesterday, and based on everything that's going on, I just don't see a way that Carolina is going to be able to bring Watson into the fold. And the second thing that's going on is that it appears that Russell Wilson is not leaving Seattle. Now, why do you say that, Rob? You might ask. Well, I'm glad you did, hypothetical listener, that I made up for this situation. Here's why. I got a few different sound clips that I want to play for you from some different NFL insiders yesterday about some things that went down. Now, all three of them, Louis Riddick, Adam Schefter, and Rappaport, are saying effectively the same thing, but it is important. So here is what Louis Riddick had to say about the efforts of the Chicago Bears to try to bring Russell Wilson into Chi-Town before they signed the Red Rocket Andy Dalton yesterday. Here is what Louis Riddick said about the efforts of the Bears to get Russell Wilson.
Look, they know that this year, given the status of both Ryan Pace and of Matt Nagy, that they needed someone who could transcend any deficiencies that they have on offense and, quite honestly, on the entire team. So they needed an absolute franchise game changer. They needed Russell Wilson. They needed Deshaun Watson. And so they did go all in on that. And I know that for a fact. I'm not Adam Schefter. I'm not going to sit here and tweet out, breaking information like this. But I have some relationships, as John Gruden used to say. I have a phone, too. And I make some calls, too. And I know that they were trying hard to make a move for one of these two quarterbacks. And if it doesn't work out, then this is what you kind of are relegated to, because remember this, the relationship really with Mitchell Trubisky is kind of broken. He needs to go his separate ways, and Chicago has already kind of determined that they need something different as far as at the quarterback position. And that's why they wanted Russell and they wanted Deshaun. And now the fact that they're having to settle for Andy Dalton just tells you this. There's nothing else to choose from right now. There just isn't. All these quarterbacks are going off the market. Ryan Fitzpatrick is gone. Jameis Winston is gone. So what are they going to do? They have to play with somebody. They have to sign somebody to compete with Nick Foles. So this is what you get.
Yes, exactly right. And he mentioned right there in the middle of that clip, the quarterbacks are gone. 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 Jameis is gone at this point. Fitzpatrick is gone. Heck, Alex Smith might be one of the best remaining options out there at this point. And, Ron Rivera talked earlier this week, we told you about it, that he all season long was very nervous and apprehensive about even playing Alex Smith last year. So I don't think another coach is going to want to put the franchise onto the legs of Alex Smith, knowing what might possibly happen to said legs. So they're in a spot now where the options are running out. Adam Schefter said roughly the same thing yesterday, that the Bears put in big for Russell Wilson in Seattle and came up empty.
Listen, teams are calling. And Chicago, I was told, made at least 7 phone calls to Seattle last week to try to at least ignite conversation and get an offer going, and was met with really no acceptance at all. Okay. And if you're the Seahawks, here's how you have to think about it. When you're trading for another quarterback or you're trading away Russell Wilson, you have to be sure that you're getting a good quarterback in advance, you're filling the position, you're getting a hefty amount of compensation. If you are the Seahawks general manager, John Schneider, and you're sitting here today in the middle of March without a combine, no less, you don't have the work done on the quarterbacks in the upcoming draft that you would like to have done. And so today, no, I don't think Seattle's in a position to deal away Russell Wilson, especially for a team that had the 20th pick in the first round. But as they get closer to the draft, as he does more and more research on these quarterbacks, maybe he will see something on tape, maybe he will see something in a Zoom call that leads him to really like one of these quarterback prospects.
So Adam Schefter saying, look, the Bears made a bunch of calls to Russell Wilson. They got not even a little bit of a thought that there was the potential that Russell Wilson might ultimately end up getting traded, and therefore did not end up having a move. So they go with Andy Dalton as their new guy. Adam Schefter agrees that Trubisky's days in Chi-Town are limited. And that lends me to believe that the Seattle Seahawks are not willing to move on from Russell Wilson. Here's Ian Rappaport, NFL insider from the NFL Network. He chimed in on that situation as well.
It's an interesting signing of Andy Dalton, someone to come in and be the placeholder starting quarterback unless they draft someone or whatever else. The Bears were trying here, and Tom captured it really pretty well. The Bears were very, very aggressive, adamant and aggressive about trying to trade for Russell Wilson. The reality is Seattle wouldn't do it. And while general manager John Schneider would listen, not engage, but listen, it was head coach Pete Carroll, among others, who made the decision. We are simply not rebuilding. We are not trading Russell Wilson, regardless of what the Bears offer. And it was a lot. So that is how they end up with Andy Dalton as their starting quarterback. And among the non-Russell Wilson people, he was their top choice.
So there you go. There's more. There's Ian Rappaport. Now, that looks like it means Russell Wilson is going nowhere at this point. Remember, he has the no trade clause. He has not demanded a trade out. He's just asked for things to change. And Russell Wilson and Deshaun Watson are in different places right now. Because while Russell Wilson is not thrilled about the way that the Seattle Seahawks are handling business, he understands that change takes time and is being patient and willing to wait. Deshaun Watson, on the other hand, down in H-Town, has been told, look, here's the deal. We're not going to do things the way you want them done. You are not the GM, you're the QB. And if you agree with them handling business that way, that's completely fine. But the reality of the situation is, it doesn't mean Deshaun has to be fine with it. However, we are also learning a few other things at this point. First and foremost, the Carolina Panthers are not pulling out of the game. According to a Yahoo Sports report from Michael David Smith, the Panthers remain in pursuit of Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson, no matter how many times the Texans say that he will remain in Houston, at least publicly. Joe Person of theathletic.com reports that the Panthers are still locked in on Watson, viewing him as the single player who can do the most to turn the franchise into a contender. He says that trading for Watson is the, quote, plan A, B, and C for the Panthers, end quote. Now, with the exception of one little guffaw from their new head coach, David Culley, the Texans have not moved off Houston keeping Deshaun Watson, but it has not dissuaded the Panthers from trying to get them on the phone and making it happen. But here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I took out of this. Between Russell Wilson going nowhere, the entire free agent quarterback market at this point effectively being done, all right? The biggest names that were on the FA market are now off of the FA market. Russell's going nowhere. Jameis is locked in. Andy Dalton is locked in. All these guys. Heck, Tyrod Taylor, interestingly enough, is now a Houston Texan. Tyrod Taylor got a year and $10 million off the top of my head to come in and be Deshaun's backup. Now, some people said, oh, that's just an indication that that the Texans are buying a little insurance in case they end up getting rid of Deshaun. I disagree. I think that's the Texans buying a little insurance in case Deshaun does indeed decide to sit at home and watch the Texans season from the couch instead of the sideline this year. Tyrod Taylor is a guy that showed last year. He's still got some potential before that freak injury. He's a guy that has a roughly similar game to Deshaun Watson. So that gives him a little. Lombardi did an interview, and Michael Lombardi says that he has a little inside info on where he thinks Deshaun could ultimately end up. Now, I don't have the clip because it's within an 18-minute interview, and I just didn't have time to pull it up. But Michael Lombardi has now said that Deshaun has opened up his no-trade clause to not only the teams that were mentioned, the Miami Dolphins, the Carolina Panthers, the New York Jets. All three still looking to see if they can get Deshaun, though Miami looks a little more set with Tua Tagovailoa. I don't see Miami going in that direction. Now, apparently, Deshaun has now added the Denver Broncos and the San Francisco 49ers to that list. Denver and San Francisco. Why is that interesting? What's interesting about that is that both of those teams have quarterback prospects that many NFLers consider still potentially valued as starters. You've got Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco. You got Drew Lock in Denver, a guy that a lot of people feel can continue to grow into an NFL starter with some quality behind him. If the Texans are not believing that Tyrod Taylor is a bona fide starter in the league, if they do believe that they must end with a caliber starter that they believe is a playoff contender, then if this report from Michael Lombardi is true, that Deshaun has opened up his no-trade options to Denver and San Francisco, Carolina will not be able to compete. Both of those teams have decent capital, but they also both have a starting quarterback that is considered a playoff caliber quarterback. And if that is indeed the case, then both of those teams will likely be able to put together a better package overall than the Carolina Panthers will. And if Deshaun personally, and again, this is one man's report, I'm not saying take it as gospel, but if Deshaun has indeed opened up the floor to Denver and San Francisco, Denver and San Francisco can both put better quarterback options onto the trade block than Carolina can with Teddy Bridgewater, even if their first-round pick is better. If they go Denver, they take Drew Lock, a guy a lot of people, again, I don't know if I'm one of them, but a guy a lot of people believe can be a playoff caliber starter. The Broncos are picking just a couple of picks behind the Carolina Panthers. right? It's not like they lose a lot of value by taking Denver's first. And in fact, I would argue Drew Lock plus the Denver first is far more valuable than Teddy Bridgewater and the Carolina quarterback and the Carolina first rounder, excuse me. So here's what I'm saying ultimately. Carolina fans, I need you to go ahead and prepare yourself because Deshaun ain't coming to Carolina no mo. It's unfortunate. It would have been a good fit. He would have fit in very well. I think he would have likely and ultimately ended up being a tremendous piece of the puzzle. I think he would have had more fan support in Carolina than anywhere else he ended up. But if he has indeed opened up his options to those two teams just mentioned in Denver and San Francisco, those two teams are far more compelling trade partners than the Carolina Panthers are. So if Houston does indeed decide to move on from Deshaun Watson, I don't think Carolina has the guns to compete with Denver or San Francisco if Deshaun has indeed expressed interest in playing for those two teams. So there you have it. I am sorry to be the bearer of bad news, Carolina fans, but Deshaun ain't coming to Charlotte. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back here in just a minute. My name is Rob Brown. My man Drew is at the controls. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Panthers fans, are you holding out hope that maybe, just maybe, Deshaun ends up in the Panthers blue? Or are you like me? Do you think that time has ended and it's time for Carolina to start putting together their next plan? 844-GSP-ESPN. Text us 71307. Hit us up on the Twitter at The Rob Brown Show, at ESPN Upstate. We're back after this on ESPN Upstate. This is The Rob Brown Show.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
So, look, we're going to get some weather coming up the next couple of days. It's going to be a little nasty. We got some bad storms coming through. But then this weekend is going to be absolutely beautiful. You know what Rob Brown's doing? Well, I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. The answer is he's strapping himself on the back of the motorcycle and hitting the Blue Ridge Parkway, ladies and gentlemen. And why wouldn't I? The weather is absolutely spectacular this weekend. The riding around the upstate is the best I have seen everywhere I've ever lived. The riding around the upstate is as beautiful as it gets. And right now, you can get on the back of a piece of Americana at rates you can't beat, at prices you can't beat, from our friends at Harley-Davidson of the Upstate. APRs as low as 2.99% if you want to jump on the back of a new bike. All new in-stock 2021 models right now. Or looking for something pre-owned, that's fine too. They got two separate showrooms. They got a showroom for the brand new ones. They got a showroom for the pre-owned bikes. Go check them out, man. It is a beautiful place. The dealership is absolutely gorgeous. They've got all the gear that you could possibly need to get up on the back of two wheels, and you can get there this weekend. Check it out. Go to their website, upstateharley.com, upstateharley.com. You can get pre-qualified there. You can see the entire inventory. Get yourself ready to ride on a piece of American history, a brand new 2021 Harley from Harley-Davidson of Greenville. Oh, man, the Carolina fans are going to hate me today. It's all right. It is what it is. And the rare Mark Hendricks appearance on the stream today. How about that? Celebrity cameo.
That's when you know it's something's hitting the fan.
There's always something hitting the fan, Bubba. That's how this game works.
Yep. It's just fun when it's live.
It's an interesting use of the word fun, but I get it.
Yep.
Rob, what's the best game that's going to be on this weekend in the tournament? Jacob, I'm going to tell you this, man. Stick around for the second hour because we are going to break down the bracket game by game all the way through. I have got a fistful of upsets. Not a fistful. I got like 4 or 5 upsets in the first round that I really like. A couple of them are betting upsets. A couple of them are straight up wins, straight up upsets. So second hour is going to be chock-a-block full of bracket talk. If you are looking for tournament talk, Jacob, you're going to want to stick around.
15 seconds.
I'll tell you, Wisconsin, North Carolina's got a chance to be really good. I think that's an 8-9 matchup, but Wisconsin, South Carolina, I think has got a potential to be a great game. Great game.
Text us anytime at 71307. Use keyword ESPN followed by your comment. Local sports talk on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
Jacob Cato has asked in the stream, what's the best game that's going to be on this weekend in the tournament? If you're looking for tournament talk, you're going to want to stick around for the second hour. I'm going to break down the brackets game by game in the first round. I'm going to give you some of my thoughts. We got until Friday. You got until Friday to get your bracket filled out. But playing games start tomorrow. I've got a handful of upsets, a few that I really like a few that I really like in the first round. I'm going to give you those, a couple of really compelling can't-miss games. I'll give you a preview. Wisconsin, North Carolina, I think is going to end up being one of the most can't-miss games in the entire first round of the tournament. And look, it might be a little bit of a cheat. Might be a bit of a cheat because that is an 8-9 matchup, and 8-9 matchups are, by definition, they ought to be good, right? They ought to be good by definition. But really looking forward to that Carolina-Wisconsin game in the opening round. So I'm going to get you a lot of tournament talk. I'm going to give you my upset picks coming up. We will start that right at the top of the next hour and take it all the way through that hour. But I wanted to expand on what we were just saying, what we were just talking about a second ago regarding the news about Carolina and all the breaking news in the Deshaun Watson situation yesterday. Because again, as I look at it, as I watched all that news come out yesterday, it just, to me, it does not point to good things for the Carolina Panthers. And on top of that, I've been in contact with some folks out there in the Charlotte area, talking about their thoughts that there was still some level of hope that Carolina might ultimately end up landing Deshaun Watson. But I will tell you, that optimism is fading. That optimism from broadcasters, from media folks up in Charlotte is beginning to wane. Coming up tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're going to be joined by Rashad Beard of the Panthers Nation podcast. You can find his stuff on YouTube at Panthers Nation podcast. I watched his live podcast on Monday. It was absolutely phenomenal. Really good content coming from Rashad. He's going to join us tomorrow, and we'll ask him if his optimism has faded out so far. But for me, it has, and I think it's time for Carolina to let it go. I think it's time for Carolina to move on from the optimism of Deshaun Watson. I know we were all on board. I wanted him there for y'all's sake as well. Not great for me as a Saints fan, but as a broadcaster in the Carolinas would have been huge. But after everything we've been seeing going on, the way the FA market is playing out for quarterbacks, the fact that Russell Wilson's not coming off the board, the fact that free agency is done, and the fact that, again, if Michael Lombardi is to be trusted, the fact that at this point, it looks like Deshaun has added two teams that can straight up outbid the Carolina Panthers and provide a starting caliber quarterback that Teddy Bridgewater, I'm sorry to say, just is not. It leads me to believe that it's time for Carolina to let go of that optimism and start putting together a plan for whoever is your next quarterback. Whether it's trading up in the draft and getting a Justin Fields, whether it's accepting a Mac Jones or a Trey Lance. Again, by the way, look, I've been saying for the past couple of weeks, I did not understand where the love affair with Trey Lance came from, but after his pro day, there seemed to be even more folks on that bandwagon thinking Trey Lance has got the potential to be a stud. We will talk more about him, as I think he's a very, very high-level target for the Panthers at this point. But we'll save that conversation as we move closer to the draft. It's coming up here in, a month and a half from right now. The Panthers have that much time to start putting their plan together. Let's run to our final break of the hour. We'll come back in just a minute. My name's Rob Brown. Drew's at the helm. You're listening to The Rob Brown Show right here on ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
So you've made that decision. Good for you. It's time to lose weight. And
there's old Lonzo. Take that audio out if you don't mind, please, Drew. Thank you, sir. Much appreciated. Those of y'all hanging out with us in the stream, we appreciate it. Leave your thoughts, leave your comments. We'll talk about them during the break. Like I told Jacob a second ago, we will address his question on the air coming up at the top of the next hour. I got some games I got circled as can't miss games in the opening two rounds of the tourney. Drew, what is the worst movie sequel that you have ever seen?
I want to say The Matrix really drove me nuts.
The Matrix sequels drove you nuts.
I really started the second one, and I was like, no.
They weren't awful. They weren't. I mean, the Matrix set the bar so high,
right,
that even trying to come up with a sequel was going to be, I don't want to say doomed from the start.
Yeah.
We were talking.
Why do we need this? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, they ended the first one on a potential high note, and I still haven't figured out, and I haven't looked in fairness, but I haven't figured out if the sequel, like, did they plan on making a trilogy, or did the first one take off with such success that they were just like, well, now we have to keep going?
Yeah, that's what it felt like.
Yeah.
And, to quote Family Guy, I don't get why we need another Terminator. What's the point of it?
Yeah, I think I watched, obviously the OG, then I watched T2, and after that, they just got to the point where I'm like, all right, time travel is an option. Like, basically, any movie where the good guy has an option at time travel, the movie doesn't need to happen, right? Like, with the exception of Back to the Future, where they created an actual consequence.
Right.
Time travel movies, by and large, like, are just rife with plot holes that you can go, oh, wait a minute, man. What was it? One of my favorite scenes was in Avengers Endgame, where Tony Stark figured out how to do time travel. I don't know if you've seen Endgame. I assume you were like every other American and have multiple times.
I was in it.
No, you weren't.
Yeah, I was.
What the hell is this story? What?
I was watching it being filmed on set before the first one came out, so I was so confused what was going on. Jeremy Renner came out with his mohawk, upset and in character the whole time. I'm like, I don't know why you're this way, but okay. And then I watched the first one after we wrapped, and I was like, oh, okay, I know what's going to happen.
Wait, so you were like I can see you on film in Endgame?
No. I worked behind the scenes.
You worked on it.
Yeah, I was the stand-in for Jeremy Renner.
Dude, what the hell? How are you just telling me this story?
Most people just don't know what a stand-in does, but basically I'm the actor when the actor is not there on set.
Are you serious with this?
Yeah. It was the most fun I've ever had in my life. So dude, it was a cool sequel to answer your question.
What the hell? No, I don't care about the sequels anymore. Drew, I need this story, man.
Yeah.
Can you tell this story on air?
Yeah, I can now. At the time,
did you have to sign like a non-disclosure agreement kind of deal?
Yeah, at the time, you don't say anything to anybody, especially friends who are nerds and trying to figure out what's going to happen. Right. I knew what was going to happen. So, yeah.
So you knew what was coming in Endgame before it got there?
Well, a lot of those were changing on set. 30 seconds. But yeah, I the first scene that I had really been a part with Jeremy Renner, he was screaming about Natasha dying, and you go stop the man with the crazy toy.
So you knew this already?
I knew this was coming, yeah.
You son of a gun. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, so I told a few people, but I just didn't want to spoil it on that.
Dude! Do you have any pictures or anything from it?
Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter.
We got to come back to this.
The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
All right, y'all got to stick around to the last hour of the show, man. Y'all got it. Drew has just told me something absolutely incredible. I don't know how we made it through 2 weeks without this information being disclosed to me. I'm not going to tell you what it is, because we're going to talk about this in probably the last hour of the show. All right. Suffice to say, Drew knew a couple of major spoilers from Avengers Endgame before it dropped, because my dude had a very big role, not as an actor, but kind of had a very big role in the production of Avengers Endgame. Now, Drew, I'm going to ask you before we get to the final hour and tell this story, do you have any way, should you be called to the carpet by listeners or yours truly, do you have a way to prove that this is a true story?
No. And it's funny because, I'll tell stories like this, and people always look at me and say, that never happened, and I just smile, because when something's true, you don't have to prove it. I'm sorry. I had a great time. I have the memories, but I was not going to risk getting fired by pulling out that cell phone. They put a little red sticker over it. They check all of your photos if you ever get out your cell phone. So I knew this was going to be a one and done deal that I'll always have in my memories, but no pictures. I think I took a rock.
So no way to prove it.
Right. That's why it's been 2 weeks. I don't mention this to everybody. I just happen to mention.
First off, this should be your opening line to everyone you meet, right? I mean, it's the most successful movie franchise in history, and you literally stood on set while it was being made, and not just like, yeah, it was on the other side of the fence and I peeked through a hole in the coverings. You were literally like in an important position in one of the biggest franchises in American cinema history. This should be like your intro, like on your Tinder profile. This should just be what the bio is.
Right.
I stood in for blank during production. For those of you who are wondering what we're talking about, you're going to want to be here in the last hour because it's a crazy story, and I will let you decide if Drew is telling us the truth or not when we get there. All right. Here's what we do have to do. We do have to give you an opportunity right now to try to win $1,000. Coming up in the 1 o'clock hour, your keyword for the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate is jump. J-U-M-P. Crisscross gonna make you jump. J-U-M-P. You're gonna text that keyword to 72881. 72881. Text the keyword jump. J-U-M-P to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000 in the cash dash on ESPN Upstate. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Again, this hour's keyword is jump. J-U-M-P. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win a G. Back after this tournament talk, FCS football talk in the next hour. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. This is ESPN Upstate.
ESPN Upstate, WYRD Greenville, WORD Spartanburg, WFBC FM HD3 Greenville, Radio.com Sports Station.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. The Carolina Hurricanes' 8-game winning streak is over. They fell 4-2 last night at Detroit. The Kings dropped to 27-1 with the setback. Sebastian Aho and Nito Niederreiter with the goals. 11 shots on net for Dougie Hamilton. James Reimer made 24 saves. Carolina returns home Thursday night for the first of two against the Blue Jackets. They'll also play on Saturday. Carolina in a race for the top spot in the Central Division. Right now, they're second, a point behind first place Florida. Third place Tampa, just a point behind. The Hornets have a 4-game winning streak, wins in 7 of 10. On the road tonight, visiting Denver. The Atlanta Hawks, winners in 6 straight. This after last night's 119-107 win at Houston. Back home Thursday night against Oak City. NCAA Tournament First 4 action starts tomorrow. Download the free Score app. Lightning fast updates so you never miss a thing. It's why the Score app is one of North America's most popular sports apps.
Put together a little game.
That's your Sports Flash. I'm Chuck Sanders on ESPN Upstate.
If you can decide if something is the name of a beer...
Take the audio out because we can't hear you.
Oh, there we go.
Makes it easier that way.
So I came up with this a while ago. Can you decide if something is the name of a beer or a lesser-known sports league team? I thought of this.
Oh, I like this.
All right, so
I like no. I want this on air, Drew. This is good. Yeah, this is good.
This was going to be a streaming
dude. That is a brilliant game. I mean, it'll be on the streaming too, but that is a brilliant game, man. That is brilliant.
Awesome. I'll be curious to know how much or how little you know your beers and lesser league teams.
Yeah, this is brilliant, man.
Cool. Let's do it. This is going to be the Drew show today, apparently.
Let's go.
30 seconds.
Money. I regret that. I'm sorry, everyone in the stream.
Check this out.
Your unofficial Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk manufactured locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown.
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
All right, our Número 2 of the Rob Brown Show goes right now. This is ESPN Upstate. What's happening? Upstate South Carolina. Once again, it is tremendous to be with you. I am Rob Brown back in the palatial ESPN Upstate studios. My man Drew is hanging out with us here, talking a little sports, talking a little movies. And Drew brought the freaking A game today, son. Drew, it's turning into the DJ Drew show today. First off, coming up towards the end of the last hour of the show, so in about an hour and a half from now, Drew has got an incredible story about how he participated in the creation and filming of Avengers Endgame. So we're going to hear that story out. And then on top of that, Drew has come up with a killer little game that we are going to play here on the show. We're gonna put you guys to the test. See if you can keep up with Drew. It's a brilliant game. It's a brilliant game. Drew is going to give us a name, and we are going to see if we can determine, Drew, if it is. Well, I'll let you explain your own game, big guy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Explain the game because I freaking love it.
I was just kind of waiting for you, and then it's my game. Yeah, is it the name of a beer or a lesser-known sports team, sports league? We might go international here. Can you guess if it is the name of a beer or a sports team coming up?
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant, man. I love this. So we are going to play that game with Drew a little bit later on in the show. 844-GSP-ESPN, 844-477-3776. Text us, 71307, 71307. And real quick, hey, I just found this out, by the way. And I want to let you all know, so far, on the on the $1,000 cash dash here on ESPN Upstate, we have had not one, Drew, but two listeners in 2 days. We have had two listeners who have won $1,000 right here on the $1,000 cash dash from ESPN Upstate. Not one, but two listeners that have now won $1,000 right here on the $1,000 cash dash.
It is happening.
I don't know about you, Drew. I don't mind a little stimmy on top of the stimmy. You know what I'm saying? Little extra cheddar on top of the cheddar is all I'm saying. The keyword for this hour, which means you need to text it to 72881, is JUMP, J-U-M-P, JUMP. Text that number to 72881, 72881 is the number to text. Don't text it to our text line. Can't win if you do that, but 72881, text JUMP for your chance to win $1,000 from the $1,000 cash dash here on ESPN Upstate. All right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to take a look at the bracket game by game for round number 1. We aren't going to spend a full segment on each and every game, but we are indeed going to talk a little bit about a few of them. And we are going to start in the Western region. Gonzaga is going to open it up against the winner of a play-in game. Norfolk State is the projected winner. The Spartans are the likely winner there, and they're going to take on the Zags. I don't see any need, Drew, to spend a whole lot of time asking if the best basketball team, perhaps in the last 30-plus years, is going to beat the worst team that made this tournament in number 16, Norfolk State.
Speaking for the listeners, I think most people want you to just go ahead and jump the gun. Do you have the Zags going all the way?
You're just going to straight up ask me if they're going in the Final Four, huh? Here's my answer, Drew. Stay tuned.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
All right.
Because we got to
speaking for the listeners. We got people. They don't want to go with the 16 seeds. They want the number ones.
This bracket's interesting to me, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why when we get to our Elite Eight matchup coming up in a few minutes. Here's the best game in this bracket. 15-10 Oklahoma taking on Missouri in this one. Missouri out of the SEC with a 16-9 record. Oklahoma 15-10 out of the Big 12. Check these rankings out, Drew. This is why I love this game. If you're looking for a can't miss game, Mizzou v. the Boomer Sooners is a can't miss game out of this bracket in round number 1. Offensive performance this year is almost dead even offensively. The Oklahoma Sooners are getting 1.046 points per possession. Mizzou 1.012. Effective field goal percentage. Oklahoma shooting 50.8% from the floor. Mizzou shooting 50.9% from the floor. Turnover percentage. Oklahoma turns the ball over 14% of the time. Mizzou turns it over 16% of the time. Offensive rebound percentages. Oklahoma gets 25.9% of their shots back on offense. Mizzou gets 27.4, so almost dead even. Free throws allowed per field goals allowed. Oklahoma gives up 0.29. Mizzou gives up 0.375. So Mizzou gives up about a quarter fewer free throws per field goal attempted in that. Defensively, the numbers are almost exactly matched again, right? These two, this is a game that I hate to say it, Drew. This is a toss-up game if there is one in the first round, Oklahoma and Mizzou. And the reason why it's important is because coming out of this, the winner of this game gets Gonzaga in the second round, looking for an upset bid. I doubt that it's going to matter much in the grand scheme of things, he said, foreshadowing where he's going with these picks. I am taking Mizzou out of the SEC, and here's the thing, Drew. I don't care who you pick. It's a 50-50 split. It's a coin toss.
All right, so yeah, I'm putting you down for Missouri, and I was
Are you filling out my bracket for me as we go?
I need to make sure I hold you accountable.
That's
here.
fair.
And
I accept it.
The question I had for you was, I already had a pre-filled bracket, or I can fill out a bracket live, and I'll pick Oklahoma, and we'll see who wins.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Right, I'm going with the opposite.
The 5-12 matchup here, we're going to take a look at all the 5-12s because there are some question marks about where it's going to go, but Drew, this is not the 5-12 matchup that you're upset is coming out of. The Creighton Blue Jays are going to win this game. They outrank UCSB, the Gauchos of UC Santa Barbara, in just about every single category, and they did it over in the Big East as opposed to UCSB in the Big West. Similar records, 20-8 for Creighton, 22-4. Creighton, of course, had a knockdown drag-out with Georgetown. I don't love that L, because Georgetown's like an okay team that Creighton lets steamroll them, but I think that angers them a little bit. This is not the 12-5 matchup, Drew. Creighton moves on.
Yeah, I had Creighton as well. Originally, I did have Oklahoma, by the way, just because I don't trust Konzo Martin. I never have.
Fair enough.
I don't think he wins that. But yeah, Creighton for sure.
All right, don't need to spend a bunch of time on this one. I think Virginia handily beats the Bobcats of Ohio, Drew.
Yep.
USC versus the winner of the play-in game. My suspicion is that it's going to be Wichita State. My other suspicion is that ultimately it does not matter. USC is a good little ball club coming out of a better than decent Pac-12. Again, the first thing I always do is just go and look, where do these teams match up statistically? Where does one team have an advantage? Wichita State turns the ball over less frequently, but only by like 1% per possession. But what blows my mind, Drew, USC gets over 1/3 of their missed shots back as offensive rebounds. This team wipes the glass offensively. Wichita State, unfortunately, I love the Shockers, always have, but they can't compete. USC, if he gets a handful of offensive rebounds, they shouldn't, which is pretty much their method of operation. USC wins that game easy.
Yep, absolutely. It all comes down to rebounding. A lot of people think California is on the way back. UCLA, USC will be real contenders. USC obviously way ahead of anybody else out there.
Completely agree. Rock Chalk Jayhawk. Speaking of chalk, look, even if the Jayhawks are missing a couple players due to the Rona, I'm not super in love with it. At the end of the day, Kansas just has that much talent, even just across the starting five, if that's all they've got available. They'll have some real competition in the second round against USC, but Kansas has no problem in the first round.
Yep.
Oregon VCU. I got to tell you, Drew, I'm tempted to take the upset here with the VCU Rams, 19-7 out of the A-10. I've seen VCU break some hearts in the tournaments in years past, but they've had some coaching changes. They got some young guys out there, and what Oregon did in the Pac-12 this year is impressive. I was this close to taking the Rams to upset the Ducks, but I'm going to tell you this straight up about the Oregon Ducks. They got a cat playing out there that nobody's talking about named Chris Duarte. Chris Duarte played at Northwest Florida State College. I called play-by-play watching Chris Duarte's JUCO career play out before Oregon picked him up. That dude's a difference maker. He makes a difference. I wanted it upset in this bracket. I was looking upset in this bracket, but the only one I found in this bracket was Mizzou over Oklahoma. Drew, I thought about taking VCU, but I can't do it. Give me the Ducks out of the Pac-12 in the 10-7 victory.
I love this Oregon team. I was really worried there. I think they might go deeper than people think. So your bracket would have been really bad if you had taken the upset first one and done. Oregon might be looking ahead past Iowa.
Yeah, ain't wrong. Yeah, ain't wrong. Speaking of Iowa, no sense in spending a bunch of time there. We all got the Hawkeyes in a big way in round one, right?
Yep.
All right, let's do real quick. Let's sprint through our bracket here in the East because we've got Kevin Marshall of FCS Nation joining us in the next segment to check in on FCS football. So we'll run through the bracket over in the East. Michigan taking on the play-in winner. Likely going to be St. Mary's there as the 16 seed. Anybody, even without livers, nobody's picking against Michigan in this one, are they, Drew?
Michigan is too good. Everybody loves them to go very deep.
I may have something to say about that in the next round. And that is because of the 8-9 game. Now, this one's interesting. The 16-4 team of St. Bonaventure, the Bonnies, coming out of the A-10, taking on the LSU Tigers. LSU, of course, second in the SEC tournament, had a hell of a game against Alabama. Here's what it comes down to for this LSU team, Drew. This team's dangerous. This team is shallow. They're only a starting five team. They don't have any bench depth. But when they've got their starting five playing together, you saw what they did against the 2 seed in Alabama. Frankly, should have beat the Alabama Crimson Tide. I'm going to tell you right now, that team found something against Alabama, Drew. They were clicking. They just decided to click against a buzzsaw team in the Roll Tiders. LSU is going to knock St. Bonaventure out of the park. Give me the Tigers as the 8 seed to move on.
Yeah, they're a little bit inconsistent at times. They're on fire right now. It wouldn't surprise me if they come out a little bit weak in the tournament, some nerves, but they win by at least a 3 possession game.
Colorado taking on the Georgetown Hoyas, your Big East champs. They get the 12 seed by way of the auto bid by winning the Big East. Colorado, though, man, I got to tell you, Drew, there's a handful of teams out there that nobody talks about that are pretty damn good, and the Buffs are one of them. Just about every offense statistical category, they look great. Georgetown only has them beaten 2, which is offensive rebounding percentage, which they barely have an edge, and free throws attempted per field goals attempted, where they barely have an edge. Georgetown drew more fouls than Colorado, but that is really it. Other than that, just about every Drew, this is not your 12-5 upset either. The Buffaloes move on, and I got to tell you, the winner of our next game is going to have their hands full with the Buffaloes of Colorado. That's a better than advertised basketball team.
Wow, I had to have 12-5 upset somewhere on my bracket, and I went with the Hoyas. I have not watched Colorado play. Could not find too many people who want to touch this one. A lot of people like the Hoyas for experience sake, but are not talking about the Hoyas because you can't trust them.
Look, the Hoyas had a good run in the Big Ten tournament to string 4 together. You know what their longest winning streak of the year leading up to that was, Drew?
What?
2 games.
Yeah.
2 games. 2 games. They're not getting – I'm sorry, but I like Patrick Ewing's squad. They need to build a little bit more. FSU taking on right up the road, North Carolina Greensboro. The Spartans 21-8 out of the SoCo. They move on to the tourney. They draw the ACC's second best regular season team, second best tournament team Here's the thing. This FSU team, when they're playing at their best, Drew, is Final Four talented. Problem is, they don't do that often. They look great. They smoked Virginia at home by some 30-odd points a few weeks ago. Then they turn around and lose to a bad Notre Dame squad. They turn around and lose it to I'll say a decent North Carolina team. And they turn around and they lose to a better than average, but not great Georgia Tech team in the ACC tournament. This team doesn't know how to play under pressure. They ought to have enough firepower to get by North Carolina, Greensboro, though, Florida State there, Drew.
Well, just talking from experience of having UNC Greensboro running the board for their games, I am pulling for them for a Cinderella story. Let's put them in my Final Four in my bracket that I intend to throw away. For this bracket, FSU.
FSU moves on. BYU versus the play-in winner, likely going to be Michigan State. Hey, Drew, you looking for an 11-6 upset somewhere? You know Michigan State is not happy about how bad they've been. BYU had some competition out in the West Coast Conference. It wasn't great, though. I got to tell you, Drew, I'm leaning Sparty and the Spartans to knock off the Storm and Mormons. There's my 11-6 upset, Drew.
There it is. I have BYU. I just think they looked really good against Gonzaga. And they don't play too many other people to compare them against.
Yep.
That game convinced me.
That was their Super Bowl. You got the absolute best BYU's going to offer. I don't think they can bring that consistently. All right, Texas taking on Abilene Christian. The 3 seed coming out of the Big 12 is going to be way too much to handle. Well, that's not a bad little Abilene Christian team, 23-4 out of the Southland Conference. But at the end of the day, Shaka Smart's got his Longhorns. They look like they're on the verge of a real comeback.
Yeah, absolutely. Texas is looking great.
Really interesting matchup. UConn, the 7th seed, the 10th seed of Maryland coming out of the Big 10. Drew, I think people are undervaluing really just how good the Big 10 was as a conference this year. Upset City, baby! The Terrapins, the Diaper Dandies, they're going to do it! Give me the Terps to upset the Huskies, Drew.
Wow, interesting. I don't think Maryland is that good. I admit the Big 10 was my favorite conference to watch this year. In one bracket that I did, I had all Big 10 conference teams in the Final Four.
I ain't mad about that either.
I got to go with UConn.
All right, and final game out of the East before we take a quick break. Alabama taking on the Gales of Iona. I told y'all Alabama preseason. I took them at like plus 8,000 to be a Final Four team. Nobody believed in the Crimson Tide but your boy Drew, and I'm finna get paid for it, baby. Alabama is my first Final Four team I'll announce right there.
Yep, same here. I did not pick them at all at the beginning, but I'm picking them now.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the club, Drew. Welcome to the I wish I would have listened to Rob Brown about 2 months ago club. It's a good club to be in. Quick break. Kevin Marshall of SCS Nation joins us in the next segment. This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
I don't know if you saw it. Can you get a Prisma Health?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your computer and tablet at ESPNUpstate.com.
Say about my friends at Prisma Health of the Upstate. First and foremost, I'm going to tell you, you want to talk to them about all your COVID questions, whether you have COVID and you are dealing with it, whether you have somebody in your family who has questions. Prisma Health is there for you. They are there to help educate you. They're there to help protect you, there to get you ready in case COVID comes to your house. And they are right now helping folks who are eligible to get set up with COVID vaccinations. Go to the website, prismahealth.org, and you can figure out when you're eligible, when you can get signed up for an appointment, where you can get signed up for an appointment. You are going to want to check out Prisma Health. Plus, whatever other health services you might need, there's a reason that Prisma Health is the official healthcare provider of both the Clemson Tigers and the Gamecocks of South Carolina, because if they are good enough to be the official primary health care providers for those two athletic departments, you know you can trust them to your family as well. Check out their website again, prismahealth.org. You can find their locations, find a doctor from their more than 2,400 medical providers across the upstate and Midlands. Get your appointment scheduled. It's just that easy. Prismahealth.org, prismahealth.org. It's Prisma Health right here in the upstate.
Got Kevin on the phone. Did you catch it?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Sorry, so sorry. I heard you and I was sending out a tweet and like my brain heard the words and then my mouth was like, we got this. So sorry about that.
No,
yes,
you're
I
fine.
appreciate it, man. Thanks for your hard work this week, by the way.
This is fun.
Keegan, I suggest we listen to Boondock Saints and Five Finger Death. Dude, so this is a true story, Keegan. Y'all know I play in a band. And so a number of years ago, when we were down in, when I was, we had a show when I was playing in the band down in Okaloosa. We used to play in a little bar called Hell and Back, is my favorite bar. It's in Crestview, Florida, which Crestview is just, it's north of Destin, and it's just kind of the little country town. And it was a bar there called Hell and Back, and we were playing there one day, Keegan, and we had a group of guys on motorcycles. Were all bad looking dudes, man, and they walked in, and we started. I mean, big dudes, like geez, man, they were bros, man. They were big dudes. So they walk in, and they're all in the black, and they're all in the black leather, and riding in on their Harleys. I mean, it was just cool. So they roll in there. And we're like, oh, Lord, it's about to get weird up in here. Because our band plays like everything from Blink-182. We play Madonna songs. I mean, all rock and roll style, but we play Madonna. I mean, we play all kinds of stuff. So anyway, we're in there. And right as they had walked in, we had just started playing Girls Just Want to Have Fun, right? These guys walk in, they order some drinks, they turn and they're watching us play. And we're like, oh, Lord, here we go. And then they start raging. So Girls Just Want to Have Fun, like it's the greatest thing they've ever heard. They partied with us for 3 hours, and their president came up to us afterwards. It turned out they were a group of military veterans. So they were a biker, I hesitate to call them a gang, but a biker group, I guess, of military veterans that rode together. So anyway, these guys, they come up to us, and their president walks up to me, and he goes, hey, man, do you guys do private parties? And we said, yeah. And they said, we want to hire you guys. We're throwing a chapter party where all the chapters from the state of Florida, and they're all coming to our clubhouse coming up in a couple of weekends. We want you guys to play it. We're like, yeah, man. So we rolled to their clubhouse, and it was a stereotypical motorcycle clubhouse, man. I mean, there were women scantily clad, 1,000, but we played our set with the Madonna and the Shania Twain and everything in it. And these guys lost their freaking minds. It was an absolute party. But after we were done, they started playing Five Finger Death Punch. And I had never really, I mean, I knew who they were, but I had never really listened to them before. My God, is that some angry music, man? No, it wasn't Roadhog style. It wasn't Roadhog style. These dudes were bikers, dude. They were BA bikers.
Upstate sports leader, ESPN Upstate.
To the phone lines we go, and we appreciate the patience of one host of FCS Nation, Mr. Kevin Marshall, joining us here on the show to chat with us, catch up on the world of FCS football. Kevin, my man, it's been a minute. Welcome to the show, big dog. Do we have Kevin on there? There he is. Kevin, we got you on. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing very well, Rob. I'm just very glad to hear that you survived the phone wars. Not the clone wars, but the phone wars. If you follow you on Twitter, it's been quite the battle for you, hasn't it?
Dude, I am this close to going full-blown Karen. I really am. I'm not going to throw out the provider there, Kevin Marshall, but I had one phone brick a week after I paid it off. I went yesterday because I am an idiot, gave them a bunch of money to replace it with a brand new phone. I get home and now that phone won't work. Kevin, you read what I said last night. Am I going too full-blown Karen on this, or do I have a point?
I think you have a pretty good point, man. And look, I like how you referred to it as a brick. I mean, at least with a brick, it's useful for something for a long time, right? But you seem to have so many problems, and I don't mean to laugh at you. I feel your pain, bro.
Dude, you're just the latest in a long line of people who have, Kevin. It's fine. I've made a career out of getting laughed at this point. Sometimes good, sometimes not. It is what it is. All right, let's jump into this thing there, Kevin Marshall of FCS Nation. Before we get any further, the Furman Paladins right here in Greenville find themselves ranked number 11. They did have that L to to VMI in a very close game. I want to go back and revisit that game for just a minute. That was about as dramatic of an L as an FCS team has taken so far in the season this year. Where would Furman be if they would not have fumbled that ball away late in that game? And how should Furman feel about being ranked number 11th in the most recent polls?
I think 11 is a good spot for them. But look, with all the things that have gone wrong for Virginia Military Institute football in the last 35 years, something needed to go right for them. And regardless of what happens the rest of this spring season, one of the best stories in all of FCS is VMI. They have no grad school. They must. Wofford doesn't have one either. But if you want to play five seasons at VMI, you must remain a cadet there. And I don't believe anybody wants to do that any longer than they must. So it's a great story. But Furman, look, huge game with Chattanooga. Chattanooga also has won a couple of dramatic ball games. They beat Wofford and they beat the Citadel in overtime in Charleston. So you got two teams that have been down. They've been punched to the deck, and they've gotten up, dusted themselves off, and fought. And I don't care who you're a fan of, you have to respect that.
Kevin Marshall, host of FCS Nation. You can hear that show right here on ESPN every Saturday at 9 a.m. So you got Furman coming up Saturday, taking on a Chattanooga team that you just mentioned. And one of the questions that folks have been asking here in the upstate the last couple of days, Kevin, is how does the season shape out as far as what the opportunities for postseason games will be, and how important are games like this one that Furman has coming up against Chattanooga? As we approach, I mean, Furman's got 4 games left. We're going to talk about Wofford in just a minute. Wofford and Furman square off on April 17th in the season finale. What does the postseason look like for the FCS this year? Do we have a grasp on that yet, since so many things are still fluid and up in the air?
Well, look, you've got 5 teams from the Missouri Valley Football Conference ranked in the top 10. That's going to sort itself out here in the next few weeks. In the SoCon, look, the national view of the SoCon isn't what it was when Appalachian and Georgia Southern were still in there. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that is the perception. So if you want to get in the playoffs this year from the SoCon, you had better take care of your business and get the automatic bid. With only 6 at-large bids to the playoffs, those are going to be few and far between, and some of those MVFC schools are going to suck those up. I think the more interesting story is James Madison. People are still voting the number 1 team in the country, even with 2 lackluster victories, isn't playing for the second week in a row due to COVID problems in their program. Well, we're getting into a time crunch here, and I'm no mathematician, but they're going to have to rely on the goodwill of some of their conference opponents to maybe make up games if they're going to be able to qualify for that automatic bid from the Colonial Athletic Association. And there's no love lost between those schools in Virginia, William and Mary and Richmond and JMU. So I'm not sure if that's going to happen. Now, you have to play at least 4 games against FCS competition to be considered for an at-large bid. But when you look at, if that does occur and you look at who James Madison has beat, I'm not quite sure if they're worthy of an at-large. And we talked about VMI just a minute ago. I'm not sure James Madison is the best team in the country. Rob, I'm not even sure they're the best team in the Shenandoah Valley. I'd like to see them play VMI. I think that would be a great game.
So talk to me a little bit about VMI, because it's one thing that that Furman took a 1-point L. You know, when we get into FBS ball in the fall, one of the big debates that comes up every year is the concept of quality losses. You got a lot of folks who go, hey, quality losses are a real thing. They happen. You go on the road to a ranked team, it's quality loss. When you're looking at the FCS level, for those who this season, because it's being played in the spring, are getting some more time to spend on it, et cetera, do you consider a 1-point L, end of the game, one little mistake costed? Is that what we would at the FBS level call a quality loss for Furman? Will that be looked at when we're looking at large bids? If Furman ends up needing an at-large bid, is that one that folks will look at and go, yeah, it was a VMI loss, but it was a really good loss on the road at a good little VMI squad?
Yes, because look, VMI is enjoying their first national ranking ever in the football championship subdivision this week. A couple of polls have them as high as 18th. So, yes, if VMI continues to win, look, that game against Samford this week for VMI, look, on the show, we chuckled at when the Citadel and Wofford get together, when Wofford was still running the triple under Mike Ayers, that, you don't want to sit down, go to the bathroom because you might miss the entire game because there's going to be 3 passes thrown the entire contest. But with VMI and Samford, look, they're going to throw the ball all over the yard. There might be 100 pass attempts between them. But VMI last week showed the ability to run the football. It had a running back go over 120 yards. And if they can add that with Reese Udinsky, who's going to be playing in the ACC this spring for Maryland, that's going to be a tough team to beat. If VMI can go on the road and beat Samford and get to 4-0 overall, I think you have to seriously consider that they might win the whole thing in the SoCon.
So we're looking at the Southern Conference, and as you mentioned, it's since Georgia State and Appy State have left, it's got a little bit of a different view. So what is that view? If you are one of the folks who have a final decision and you're looking at large bids, because those two teams that have made a little bit more noise on a national scale, not that Furman and Wofford don't pop up occasionally, but now that those teams that make noise on a national scale are out, does it decrease the at-large buying power, if you will, of a Furman or a Wofford if they get to the end of the year? They say, let's have one loss. Obviously, one of them could end up with a pair of losses, but if one of them ends the year with just the one loss, if Furman knocks off Wofford at the end of the year, does it take away from Furman's buying power for an at-large bid?
Maybe. Look, and the committee differs from year to year as to what the metrics are. The first couple of years after Appy and Georgia Southern left, the SoCon got 3 schools in. And, that was the norm for, a decade or more. And so with the limited number of at-larges this year, like I said before, Rob, you better win your conference championship. I don't care who you are. They're not with 6 of them available. I don't see them giving 3 of them to one league. So like I said before, the Missouri Valley Football Conference thing is going to kind of shake itself out as these teams play each other. Huge game in Fargo this weekend between North Dakota and North Dakota State. North Dakota State barely survived against Illinois State last week, made a quarterback change, and that seemed to spark them. So you take care of your own business, but you have to keep an eye on what's going on elsewhere in the country. The SoCon isn't as good as it was with those 2 top teams in it. That's just a fact. Is it still a really good FCS football conference? Yes. How high it is up there in the rankings of that's purely objective, and that's mostly eye test stuff. But there is one metric that you can't deny, and that is success in the playoffs. And the SoCon champion hasn't had a lot of that lately. Wofford's run into Kennesaw a couple of times.
All right, so let's flip. Well, let's finish this one up. Let's finish with Furman here. They take on Chattanooga this weekend at home, noon kickoff time on Saturday. Games on ESPN Plus, and of course, you can hear it right here on ESPN Upstate, the home of Furman Paladin Athletics in the Upstate. A little preview of that game, Furman v. Chattanooga.
Look, there'll be a pretty good South Carolina cheering contingent there, I would imagine. Drayton Arnold, the quarterback for Chattanooga, went to Myrtle Beach High School, started his time at Old Dominion. Ilam Ford is from Florence. I'm not quite sure how much he's going to play. He hasn't played a whole lot. He's a running back for them. But Chattanooga's tough. So is Furman. Furman has the advantage because they're at home. I hope people will pack that place with as many people as you're allowed to, because it's going to be a great ball game featuring two really good FCS teams and teams that want to do it kind of similar. Chattanooga, yes, they want to throw the football some, but so does Wofford. And Furman, excuse me. And look, how has Furman gotten back into the games they've been behind? By being creative. And I think that's something they're going to need to do. Need to run those misdirection plays. Need to get the wide receiver on the reverse. Chattanooga, look, they want to line up and be physical. So does Furman. This one should be really interesting. A physical football game.
Talking to Kevin Marshall, he's the host of FCS Nation. You can hear it every single Saturday right here on ESPN Upstate at 9 a.m., breaking down all that's going on in the world of the FCS season. We talked about Wofford just a second ago. They had the postponed game a couple of weeks ago against East Tennessee State. Back-to-back L's. Speaking of Chattanooga, at 24-13 L on the road at Chattanooga. Then they lost to a Samford team. Samford's kind of interesting to me. That's a team I have watched in person. They've been a team in the past that's been willing to go play the Alabamas and the Florida States of the world. So not that Furman and Wofford haven't in the past, but they fielded some pretty good players there. So Wofford's 1-2 right now. They've got the VMI Keydets coming up in their next matchup, not this weekend, but next. What do the Terriers look to be shaping up like heading into the back half of the schedule?
I think if they lose another ball game, and certainly if they lose two, maybe you start preparing for fall. I think a lot of teams around the country that are looking at their record right now and saying, playoffs are not really a likely thing for us. So let's play some of the younger kids. Everybody's going to have an opportunity for this to be a free year. So maybe you rest up some of the guys because, look, I think we've all seen this so far, and it's happened to a couple of really good players in some of our schools nationally. An ACL tear now doesn't mean you just miss the spring. It means you miss a lot of the fall, too. So I think you're going to see Wofford, look, they want to play. They want to get into the playoffs, but once that becomes something that perhaps isn't going to happen, you'll see them kind of shift modes a little bit. And they'll use this spring as they would any other spring, which is to get ready for the fall. But that's a couple of weeks down the road and maybe a couple of losses down the road. But look, when you talk about Samford, they've beaten Wofford 6 in a row. And that's probably the only reason why Chris Hatcher still has that job at Samford. They had Devlin Hodges, who, as people who follow NFL football know, wasn't too shabby for the Steelers when he got his opportunity. So, look, a lot of talent for Samford, a lot of talent for Wofford. Let's just see how the different philosophies are going to go forward as we move along this spring.
Kevin Marshall, host of FCS Nation here on the Rob Brown Show. So realistically, Kevin, and then we'll cut you loose, VMI and the Citadel at home, then on the road at Western Carolina, and then we've got that rivalry game here in Greenville. They're on the road at Furman. Wofford fans, realistically, how should they look for this season to end up? And if it does go south, what's it going to be like this offseason, going from a spring season to then immediately get ready for a fall season with that decreased offseason?
If you're Wofford, I mean, look, it's a week-to-week playoff from now on. It just is. And if you happen to drop one or two of those games, like I said, your philosophy has to change a little bit, I think. And as far as getting ready for the fall season, people have said, well, if you played games last fall and then you played your season this spring, you might play up to 15 games. Well, you know what? If you make the FCS playoffs and advance from the first round to the title game in a normal year, you're going to play 15 or 16 games. So, I think that's kind of overblown and it's kind of coach speak and maybe some fan speak, but I don't think it'll be much of a problem if you don't lose key players in games where you're trying to prep for the fall this spring.
Kevin Marshall is the host of FCS Nation. You can hear it every single Saturday at 9 a.m. right here on ESPN Upstate. Kevin, my man, great to get you back on the show. We'll do it again real soon. Appreciate the time as always, boss.
I appreciate you, Rob Brown, and want to say hi to my mom who's listening there in Greenville today, driving around, doing good works that she does for other people. So hi, Mom.
Well, hey, Mom. Thanks for letting your son come on and talk a little football with us. Kevin, appreciate it, big dog. We'll talk to you soon, pal.
Thanks, Rob.
You got it. Kevin Marshall, host of FCS Nation. Follow him on Twitter at FCS Nation Radio 1. Let's take a break. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to the Rob Brown Show. Let the game come to you. Listen no matter where you go. In Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, and Spartanburg. ESPN Upstate is always streaming on the radio.com app. This is Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi at this hour. A big payday for Trent Williams. He and the 49ers agreed on a 6-year, $138 million contract, making him the highest paid offensive lineman in NFL history. Included in the deal, $55 million in guaranteed money and a $30 million signing bonus. Lions agreed on a 2-year deal with running back Jamal Williams. ESPN's Adam Schefter reporting running back Lamar Miller returning to Washington on a 1-year contract. NHL Islanders captain Anders Lee will have season-ending surgery this week on a torn ACL. The Sabres, after a 12th consecutive loss, have fired coach Ralph Kruger.
Coming up on the Max Kellerman Show. Now it's officially free agent season in the NFL. Is Belichick done, or has he got more up his sleeve? Check it out. The Max Kellerman Show. Weekdays 2 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN Plus.
Hey, it's Zubin Mehenti from Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. This is ESPN Upstate.
TLC Motors in Spartanburg is known for doing things for you that no other dealer will, and in March, that is no different. Right now, TLC Motors is launching their 7-day exchange guarantee program. If you buy a vehicle from TLC Motors and in the first 7 days it isn't what you want, bring it back and swap it out for one you love. And at TLC Motors, they want you to know they'll buy your vehicle from you outright, paying more than any dealer in the upstate, even if you don't end up purchasing a new or used vehicle from them. It's all at TLC Motors in Spartanburg.
Welcome to the official Unsolved Mysteries podcast.
Has he done this to someone else? I don't know, but he's out there.
These are all news stories, terrifying abductions, bizarre paranormal encounters, heinous killers, and unexplained deaths.
I felt I had to say, I'm not crazy. I really saw this.
Subscribe and listen to Unsolved Mysteries, available now for free on Apple Podcasts, radio.com, or wherever you get your shows.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-568-2790. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-568-2790. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-568-2790. 800-568-2790.
There's only one thing to say about America's biggest night of television. It's insane.
The most famous guest ever. Oh, man. I need a nap. Hashtag siesta.
That's just the beginning of the surprises.
Amazing.
Then, can you guess someone's talent?
Fire thrower. Bone breaker.
Before they perform.
Is it cool by the interview by itself? Or
Yes.
do you want to just...
Yes, absolutely fine.
Masked Singer, Fox Tonight.
As a dentist, I know what my patients are saying.
Mm-hmm.
She says her gums are irritating.
And this is for me and Mark. If you sit in on his show at any point, we both like to have the interviews uploaded separately. Like, still upload the whole hour, but upload the interview so we can make social media posts with just the interview.
Rob talks
Like
to
at
Marshall
Leon's
about
Plumbing.
Sorry,
Furman,
we
or
can get
just
there
FCS
next
in
Friday.
general?
To stay out of hot water, he needs to get started hiring right away.
I need Indeed.
When we come out of this
Indeed,
break,
you do. And the
I am
moment
just
you
going to
sponsor
go
a
real
job on
quick. I'm just
Indeed,
going to
you get a
reread
short
the
list of quality
keyword for
candidates
this
from our
hour.
resume database.
Tell people to text and then go right back to that last break since we're so far behind.
$75 credit for your
So
first
you can, in fact, you can just lay the
Terms and
bumper rolling
conditions
because I'll be in and out before the bumper's
Want to
over.
hear something amazing? Discover matches all the cash back you earn on your credit card at the end of your first year, automatically, dollar for dollar, with no limit on how much you can earn. Extra cash? Come on, how amazing is that? In fact, it's even more amazing when you realize all the places where Discover is accepted. 99% of places in the U.S. that take credit cards. So when it comes to Discover, get used to hearing yes more often. Learn more at discover.com/yes. 2021 Nielsen Report. Limitations apply.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Real quick, remind you got a chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The keyword for this hour, the 1 o'clock hour, is JUMP, J-U-M-P. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. We have had 2 listeners on ESPN Upstate already win $1,000 in this contest. Text JUMP, J-U-M-P to 72881. I'm going to give you the next keyword coming up here in about 9 minutes for the 2 o'clock hour. That's just around the corner. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. The Rob Brown Show roll on after this. It's ESPN Upstate.
I'm not on my game. Can you do QC Kinetics now?
Sure.
Okay. Let's get you right here.
Join the Rob Brown Lockdown on Twitter. Tweet at The Rob Brown Show on the Upstate Sports Leader, ESPN Upstate.
Hey, joint pain. It is a pain, and it's something that we all have to deal with as we age. Your knees, your elbows, your ankles, they're just going to start hurting. Your lower back, for me, that's the big one for me. And you can tell, man, the night I slept wrong is the next day I wake up and I'm just kind of hunched over and I got to spend legitimately 4 or 5 minutes just kind of stretching that lower back out so I can stand up and walk around. That's why we've partnered up with QC Kinetics and their non-surgical regenerative therapies that they now offer right here in the Upstate. And while this type of treatment has been offered to elite level athletes for years, though they had to travel around the world to get it, now you can get it. The everyday mom and pops, granddad, grandma, y'all can get it right here in the Upstate without going anywhere, just by calling QC Kinetics to learn about the science behind their non-surgical regenerative therapies that can treat knee, shoulder, elbow, wrist, ankle, lower back, hip, arthritis, carpal tunnel, finger and toe pain, foot and hand pain, nerve pain, plantar fasciitis, and other conditions. Go to their website at qckinetics.com, QCKINETIX.com, or give them a call at 864-448-3772. Mention the Rob Brown Show. Get that consultation set up for free at 864-448-3772. It's our friends at QC Kinetics. All right, and when we come back, we should have about a minute and a half or 2 minutes or so.
Are we doing the cash word again?
Yeah, we do it every hour.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Every hour. I don't know when it ends. I want to say it's like 3 more weeks or something like that, but so first segment of next hour, we're going to finish up our bracket picks for the first round. And then we will for the two brackets we haven't finished in the first round. And then the second segment we'll play your game. And then the third segment I want you to tell the Avengers story.
Okay.
And then we will go from there to Twitter trending topics.
Oh yeah.
If that's good with you.
Twitter now. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. Is it normally 4 topics? Is that good?
Yeah, and it just like if we stick on one and it's a good conversation, sometimes we just do one.
Okay.
If we run out of the 4, then grab one more, or just let me know that hey, and this is the last one we have for today, and that way I'll know we need to stick on that till the end.
Gotcha.
So we got to do the South region and the Midwest region in the next hour. And for those of you watching on the stream, that is how the behind the scenes works when we do a show.
Production.
That's right.
Yeah,
live production.
When I tell people I'm producing a show, they think I run it. I let them think that.
You do run it.
I ask you, what are we going to talk about? It's pretty much
well, that part's my job, but you're still on track. Like,
it's opposite of news. I graduated with a lot of journalism and production.
I gotcha.
The anchor is told,
yes,
here's what you're going to talk about.
Yes.
Not like that here.
I did television news for 2 years.
Did you like it?
When I got to do sports. So I joined on as a general reporter. And I did general reporting for about 6 months. And then the news director came to me and was like, hey, man, sports, our sports guy's out. Can you anchor sports today? I was like, awesome. Yeah, why not, man? So I did that a couple of times. And then then it just kind of became a regular thing. When I got to do sports, I absolutely loved doing TV news. And then they'd be like, okay, you're back to regular news tomorrow. We need you to go talk to the mother of the 2-year-old who got hit and killed by a car yesterday. And I was like, I hate this job.
Yeah.
Hate it. Hate this job.
Yep. That's rough. But I'm guessing they wanted you to keep doing sports because you were even better than the regular guy.
The regular guy didn't think that. In fact, it got to he stopped taking vacations because he told the other guy in the sports department, he was like, if I keep taking vacations, they're going to move him into this department.
Sports leader, ESPN Upstate.
All right, wrapping up our numero dos right here on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Drew and I have been giving you our bracket picks for the first round. We've made it through the West and the East opening round. When we start the next hour up, we will pick through the South and the Midwest and give you our round of 64 projections heading into Friday's first round of the tournament. So make sure you stick around for that. Then in the second segment of the next hour, we're going to play a little game that Drew's put together. He is going to give us a name, and we are going to see if we can figure out whether it is the name of a beer or the name of a lesser-known minor league professional sports team. Really looking forward to that. Then in the third segment of next hour, Drew was on set doing a very important job for the production of Avengers Endgame before we even knew the direction that movie was going to go in. He's going to tell us that story, and I'll let you, the listener, decide if Drew is telling us the truth or not. That's coming up in the third segment, and then we'll wrap up hour number 3, as we always do, with a fun little game of Twitter trending topics. The third hour of the third hour of the show is going to be super busy before we hand it off to Mark Ryan and Diesel for Offsides. I know they're going to be chock-a-block full. They've been keeping on top of this Frank Martin story, whether or not Frank Martin may be let go by the Gamecocks of South Carolina. We're going to dive into that tomorrow. I got a couple of interviews lined up for you tomorrow. One, fingers crossed, we'll have about South Carolina. Rashad Beard, of the Panthers Nation podcast is going to join us at 1:00 tomorrow. We'll do a hit with him. about where the Panthers stand right now in the free agency department. They've obviously made a lot of signings the last couple of days. So Rashad Beard will join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. to go over that. But now it's time to see if y'all can't win a little money with the $1,000 cash dash right here on ESPN Upstate. Your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The key word for this upcoming hour, the 2 o'clock hour, is key. K-E-Y. Key. You're going to text that keyword to 72881. 72881. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Text and data rates may apply in this national contest. Again, this hour's keyword is key. K-E-Y. Text it to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. We've already had 2 listeners to ESPN Upstate get $1,000 out of this national contest. Now is your opportunity to be number 3. Text key, K-E-Y, to 72881. Third hour, slammed up busy. Bracket predictions in the first. Beer or team in the second. Drew's story in the third. And Twitter trending topics to wrap it up. That's all next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate, y'all. Money, 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 money. Keegan says, sounds like a lot of non-sports. Hashtag stick to sports. That's funny stuff. Funny, funny, funny. Yeah, you know how we do. Drew can stay when Zoe comes back. Just roll with 3 people. Beer game can't wait. Oh, you got the people excited, Drew.
Nice.
It's a frenzy on the text line.
I'm editing the computer and hearing your voice and mashing them together. It's coming some weird conversations here. 30 seconds. There we go.
Warning.
Man, check this out.
You're on official Rob Brown lockdown.
Represents being real. Yeah.
Real, unfiltered sports talk. Locally for the Carolinas.
Lockdown!
This is the Rob Brown Show.
Yeah.
Only on ESPN.
ESPN Upstate.
All right, the third, the final, the best hour of the Rob Brown Show rolls on right now. This is ESPN Upstate. Rob and Drew with you on the show today. 844-GSP-ESPN, 71307, the text line. Start your text with ESPN so we can read them on the air. We got a few we're going to catch up on here in just a minute, but before we do that, we got to knock out the final 2 sides of the bracket. Drew and I have gone through the West and the East brackets so far. I think we only disagreed, Drew, between those 2 brackets on like 2 or 3 games.
Right.
I'll run through what we got real quick. I've got Gonzaga, no question about it. I've got Mizzou over the Sooners. Drew took Oklahoma to knock off Mizzou. We both picked Creighton. We both picked Virginia, same with USC, Kansas, Oregon over VCU, and Iowa to move on. If I get any years wrong, Drew, let me know because I didn't write them down because I'm lazy. Michigan over the play-in winner. LSU, we both took over St. Bonaventure. Colorado. Did you take Georgetown in that one?
I did.
Okay, so yeah, that's what I thought. So Drew's 12-5 upset is the Hoyas of Georgetown out of the Big East knocking off Colorado. I got the Buffs. I think underrated even as a 5 seed. Both have FSU over NC Greensboro out of the SoCon. BYU Michigan State. I'm taking the 6-11 upstate there. I've got Sparty and his Spartans getting 1 win. Drew took the Cougs out of the WCC to move on. Both of us have Texas over Abilene Christian. I've got the Terps 16-13 out of the Big Ten, knocking off the 15-7 Yukon Huskies out of the Big East. Drew took the Huskies in that one, and both of us rolling with the Tide over Iona. So that brings us to the South portion of the bracket. Not a lot of time need to be spent on the Bears of Baylor versus the Hartford Hawks. I think we're both taking BU in that one, correct?
Yes. The question is, how far will they go?
That is exactly the question. Could not agree with you more. Now, my can't miss game of the tournament's first round. North Carolina, 18-10 out of the ACC. Wisconsin, 17-12 out of the Big 12. Even match just about everywhere on the scoreboard. In fact, if you look at their offensive and defensive stats, there are none that seem separated at all by more than a fraction of a percentage part. This is a really, really interesting matchup. So I go to the one statistic that I always look at first. There is one thing that made me pick the team that I am picking in the 8-9 matchup in the South region, Drew, and it is this. North Carolina has a 40% offensive rebound rating. Wisconsin, 20%. North Carolina cleans up the offensive glass twice as often as the Badgers do. With everything else being even, Drew, a team that works the offensive glass and a team that we watched win a game by damn near 60 in the ACC tournament. They got bounced by FSU, a 4 seed in the third round of the ACC tournament, which is not a bad loss by the Heels to the Noles. Drew, North Carolina, I'm not saying they're going to go a whole heck of a lot further, but I got the Tar Heels over the Badgers, even though I am in love with Big Ten teams right now.
Okay. I kept going back and forth on this so much, and then obviously I just stopped because whoever wins that game, a point of pride is you want to obviously get your picks right, but Baylor, I think, absolutely smashes either one of those teams. It's a great matchup, going to be a great game, ultimately pointless. If you're picking UNC, I'll go with Wisconsin. I was leaning toward Wisconsin, so I wanna differentiate this. We'll see who comes out.
Drew, the old contrarian coming out there. I like it. 5-12 matchup over in the South. Villanova, the Wildcats, 16-6 out of the Big East. I got to tell you, Drew, I got to pick one. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. The Winthrop Eagles are going to knock off Villanova in our annual 12-5 upset. Look, statistically speaking, again, two teams that are relatively even matched. The only place Villanova does better is they turn the ball over 12% of the time to Winthrop 16.5% of the time. But again, that's made up for in the fact that Winthrop gets over a third of their missed shots back in second chance opportunities. Villanova gets it back just 1 in 4. This is a matchup that I think deserves better seeding than it got. But my 12-5 upset is coming out of the South bracket. Give me the Eagles of Winthrop to knock off Villanova, Drew.
Yeah, everyone keeps saying that. I just don't see it. I got to go with Villanova.
I'm mad about it. That's the book pick. That's the paper pick. I'm going anti-chalk on that one, man. All right, Purdue taking on the North Texas Mean Green. I got to tell you, Purdue might have some of the best inside-out basketball we have seen in like a while. Like
they are fun.
They are fun. They are fun to watch play. Purdue over North Texas. That's going to be a blowout in the first round, the 4-13 matchup.
Yep.
Texas Tech Red Raiders taking on the Aggies of Utah State. 17-10 out of the Big 12 comes Texas Tech. 28 out of the Mountain West comes Utah State. This Utah State team is better than they're getting credit for as an 11 seed. Another spot where you got two very evenly matched teams. Texas Tech shooting 49.7%. Utah State shooting 49%. Texas Tech turns it over 14% of the time. Utah State 16% of the time. Texas Tech rebounds 32.2% of his balls, 34.6% for Utah State. But it is the defensive stats that make me, Drew, let's do it again. Upset City, baby. The Aggies play better defense. They hold teams in the Mountain West, which is not a bad basketball conference at all, to under 47%. Texas Tech does not do that. In fact, the only defensive stat that Texas Tech is better in top to bottom is turnover percentage of opponents. Texas Tech takes the ball away 21% of the time, but Utah State takes it away 18% of the time. It's not a glaring difference. I'm taking the upset here. Give me Utah State to get an upset over the 6-seed Texas Tech Red Raiders.
Yeah, I think this is where I will be able to make up a little bit of ground on you because Utah State, I see what you're saying. I really wanted to pick them, but it's not about what's on paper. It's about the matchup.
You ain't wrong. I get it. Arkansas taking on the Colgate Red Raiders. 14-1 out of the Patriot League go Colgate. 22-6 in the SEC are Arkansas, the 3-seed. Arkansas has been playing in the shadow of Alabama all season long. And Alabama's a better basketball team. That's how the game works. They have been playing better basketball than they're getting credit for. I've seen a lot of people thinking that Colgate's got a chance to be a bit of a Cinderella squad. In fact, our buddy Tim over with the Swamp Rabbits, he was trying yesterday evening, we chatted, he was trying to sell me on the Colgate Raiders, making some noise. And I can't believe in them. I'm sorry. Arkansas is too good. They've just been overshadowed by LSU and Alabama. The Razorbacks raise a little hell over the Colgate Raiders, Drew.
I have not followed Colgate enough to even speak intelligently on this. All I know is the Arkansas defense was absolutely carved up by LSU in that first half.
But dude,
it was painful.
LSU's got 3 players in the starting 5 that are NBA draft picks.
I agree.
3.
But when somebody gets that wide open in the paint, that's just a breakdown on coaching and play calling. What was going on with that defense? I do not understand it. I think Arkansas will struggle with this. That's not so much about Colgate. That's just Arkansas is on fire offensively. They have got to fix those defensive problems. They will in the film room. I understand that. But Colgate will find a way to do exactly what LSU did, even without the same athletes.
Yeah. I get it. You're exactly right. But look, I get it. But playing LSU is a weird creature, right? Because you got to throw everything you got defensively at the starting 5. You can't really sub in and out. Like you got to have your best 5 against their best 5 at all times. There's no point where you can go to the bench to separate things out. Makes it a weird game. I don't judge people by their defensive numbers against LSU. I'd rather judge them shockingly against what they do against a team like Alabama. Florida taking on Virginia Tech in the 7-10 matchup. This is another one that I'm really intrigued by. These Gators, ever since the loss of Keyshawn back at the beginning of the year, have been kind of a mild run team. They're 14-9 out of the SEC. Again, not a great year in the SEC, but certainly not a bad one. Taking on the Hokies of Va Tech, the 10 seed. This Virginia Tech team, again, I don't think got the credit that they deserve. The ACC tournament didn't go their way, but they were a team with a round bye for a reason. Give me the upset in this one, too. This is my upset bracket. Give me the Hokies over the Gators. I don't feel great about that one. I'll tell you, I'm a little nervous. I'm shaking a little bit at that one. But give me the Hokies over the Gators, Drew.
I think those are the ACC glasses coming back on. I'm more of an SEC guy. Gators and Virginia Tech is a great matchup. I love this game. The pairing of this was perfect because they are almost identical in athleticism. So give me the Gators. I think Gators march on.
That's going to be a hell of a game. That's going to be a who's got the ball last if they can dunk a clutch bucket 1-point game. And Ohio State's taking on Oral Roberts. No need to spend a lot of time there. The Buckeyes should thoroughly thrash the Golden Eagles.
And thrash the Gators or Virginia Tech.
Yeah, it doesn't matter who they get after that. Ohio State is a good damn basketball team, y'all. All right, so we move on to the final round. This is the Midwest portion of the bracket. Illinois taking on the Dragons out of Drexel. Fighting Illini win that one going away. They are, even as a 1 seed, Illinois might be underappreciated.
Yeah, the Final Four is set for Illinois, in my opinion. So I am jumping the gun here, but it should not be a shocker for most people.
All right, I got a name for you. A name I want you to keep an eye on. Alvarado, Georgia Tech taking on Loyola Chicago. Sister Jean is vaccinated. She is going to be there at the game in Indy to support the Loyola Chicago Ramblers, and Sister Jean is going home disappointed. They can play for their mascot. I love me some Sister Jean. She seems awesome. But that Georgia Tech team that showed out against FSU, where they get 21 turnovers in that game, they slap the floor. They play a little bit of defense. Give me the rambling wreck of Georgia Tech in the 9-8 game out there in the Midwest. Drew, the Yellow Jackets move on.
All right. You took a left turn with that speech there. I'm proud of you. You made the right choice.
Oh, you're going Georgia Tech too?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ooh, I expected a little pushback there. I kind of did.
Nope. I think you're right.
Drew, here is where I'm going to get a little pushback. Here is where I'm going to upset some people. I got 2 12-5 upsets in the bracket this year. Not one, but 2. And this one, I'm the least confident in. And I'm telling Drew, this goes against everything the paper says. We just talked about that. And I told you, I'm a guy that picks on stats. I like to pick on matchups. But I like this little scrappy upstate Oregon State team. And I think Tennessee got too much credit. I mean, statistically, they're good. But I just like Oregon State. They brought some momentum into the Pac-12. They might be the most picked against team in this entire bracket with the exception of Drexel. Give me the Beavers. I got 2 12-5 upsets, Drew, and I'm taking Oklahoma State for the second one.
No, just not going to happen.
Excuse me, Oregon State, not Oklahoma State. Oregon State.
Right, Oregon State over Tennessee. I don't know if John Fulkerson will be back. He's not even that huge inside. Plasvik is just playing horrible basketball right now. It all comes down to East Pond's games. He's been the one who's been kind of inconsistent offensively, but defensively leading the SEC, I believe, in blocks as well as up there in the nation. Defensively, I think they've just been too fundamentally good. Scoring has been the only real issue at times, but I think they'll come out. I mean, this team has 2 top 10 NBA picks, and it's just crazy how underdeveloped these guys still look to me.
Yup.
Rick Barnes keeps saying that's COVID. They ran behind.
Yes.
And that's really disappointing because those 2 guys are going to do so well. Everyone's going to look at Rick Barnes and say, what were you doing with all that talent that you didn't get very far? They've got to win this first game just so he's not on the hot seat in a couple of years.
All right, moving on. Oklahoma State's taking on Liberty, 28 out of the Big 12. Liberty 23-5, not a scrappy little ball club, but this one's easy. Although I got to tell you, surprisingly, Liberty statistically looks better on paper than Oklahoma State does, but doing it out of the Atlantic Sun versus the Big 12, the Cowboys are a better team. Give me, and by the way, the Cowpokes, a hell of a run through the Big 12 tournament, knocking off Baylor in that one. That's a big get for the Cowpokes. Give me Oklahoma State over Liberty.
Yeah, Oklahoma State's just on fire right now. I really feel bad for Liberty. If Liberty had matched up against San Diego State or even West Virginia in this bracket, I feel like, man, they really could have had a good chance. No chance against Oklahoma State.
None at all. Speaking of San Diego State, 6-11 matchup. You know, this freaking Syracuse team, man. I mean, one game in the ACC tournament, opening round, they look gangsta. They get taken to the limit in game 2, can't finish it up. There's something about the Syracuse team under Boeheim that I like. Offensively, they are efficient with the basketball. It strictly comes down to will the ball go through the net? If they're shooting well, they win. And if they don't, they're not. They're going to draw fouls. They're going to knock down their free throws. Upset here for me as well. I know the Aztecs out of the Mountain West 23-4 get a lot of love, and rightfully so, and I am not mad at anybody who takes the Aztecs to move on. Maybe this is the ACC tinted glasses because I'm really loving what the ACC did this year, and I think they're undervalued. Give me the orange in an 11-6 upset here, Drew.
No, I don't see the ACC colored glasses in this one. I saw it against Virginia Tech. I see them with Clemson that you really want to pull for them. Syracuse, you just calling it like you see it. The team is good. The team is dangerous. I would not want to play them right now.
West Virginia, almost heaven. West Virginia taking on the Morehead State Eagles. West Virginia is going to be an interesting team in the second round. And if it becomes a West Virginia-Syracuse matchup in round 2, that could get really interesting. 2 very different styles of play between Huggy Bear and Boeheim. But give me West Virginia to roll on past Morehead State relatively easily in the first round.
Absolutely.
Clemson taking on Rutgers in the 7-10 matchup. Drew, it comes down to this. Did the good Tigers show up or the bad Tigers show up? Brad Brownell's on the hot seat because his team just does not seem to get their head right when the pressure cooker is on. They lost to Miami in the ACC tournament, and what I think, frankly, was an embarrassing loss. Miami tried everything they knew how to do to give Clemson that dub at the end of the ACC tournament game, and Clemson just refused to take it. Rutgers 15-11 out of a good Big Ten. This is a great matchup. Drew, I don't know if I'm picking this because I want Clemson to win for my job, or if I genuinely believe that Miami loss got into their heads a little bit and they're going to come out playing better. God, I wish I was more confident picking Clemson, but give me Clemson.
Okay. Yeah, I want to pick Clemson as well. And whenever I really get frustrated with a team that I'm pulling for, I just pick them the opposite team, so I'm happy either way. This is going to be one of those situations. I'm picking Rutgers so I can celebrate and at least have a little bit of condolences when my bracket looks better. But go Clemson. I'm pulling for you, Tigers.
Pulling for you, just not picking you to win. I suspect we're going to be having conversations about them on Monday, one way or the other. And finally, Houston taking on the Vikings of Cleveland State. No need to spend a lot of time in this one. I don't think the Cougs ought to run away with this one either. Look, if Clemson, I talked about this earlier in the week when this bracket came out. If Clemson runs the inside-out game and they use Dawes as what he's supposed to be and the focus to that offense, I think Clemson's got a decent shot to upset number 2 Houston. And if they do, they might be a Sweet 16 team, maybe with a great run, Elite 8. But they got to get by Rutgers first. Houston will get by Cleveland State.
Houston and Clemson would be such a fun matchup. That would be a must-see game.
Completely agreed.
I would love that matchup. It really needs to happen.
So. Completely agreed. All right, run to a break. When we come back, we play a little game Drew's come up with. It's called Beer. Actually, you can call it whatever you want, Drew. I just made it up because I didn't come up with a more creative name on the fly.
Sounds good.
Beer or team? Drew's going to give us a name. We're going to try to figure out, is it the name of a beer or is it the name of a professional sports franchise? That's next on the Rob Brown Show. This is ESPN Upstate.
Real, unfiltered sports talk brewed locally.
Oh my God, a hipster! Bring him a microbrew, quick!
This is the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
AutomotiveMap.com presents the Sports Flash on ESPN Upstate. Baseball spring training on Tuesday. Tampa 7-1 over Baltimore. Toronto 14-5 over Philadelphia. Right. The Red Sox beat Atlanta 5-3. The Yankees 7-4 over the Tigers. The Mets beat the Astros 8-3.
Did you write those down? Oh yeah, sweet. All right. If you don't mind, put it somewhere that it won't get messed with. That we can tell Lonzo on Monday to look at it. And then what we'll do, I don't know what your schedule looks like if you're in and out of the building. Whatever, but if you want to come back on, what is it, Monday, for a segment and just take a look down the bracket, what we got right and wrong, you're welcome to.
Eastern Conference. The Hornets with a 4-game streak on the road tonight at Denver. Charlotte 5th in the
pro
pick
of basketball
against the pros. I like it.
Bringing an insider, Drew Townsend.
I got insider. Listen to him. Dude, my bracket is either going to be incredible or completely busted after the second round.
This bracket? Nah, I think it'll be half and half.
Yeah, I got some more upsets in the second round though.
Oh, okay.
Some I'm a little less confident about.
Just trying to see Colorado. It's not a big deal either way. If you don't get that one, they still lose to FSU.
Yeah. I don't know, man. They could beat FSU. FSU's just like Clemson, man. If the team that beat Virginia by 30 shows up, they're a Final Four team. If the team that went to Notre Dame and got blown out by a team that hasn't won a ranked game in 4 seasons shows up, they're going to get racked by Colorado.
I just haven't seen Colorado play at all. So I need to pull up some highlights. And that was just one I didn't want to spend a bunch of time on because I just had Georgetown. I was like, that's that. So.
Why do I like the Oregon Ducks as much as I like the Oregon Ducks?
I love Oregon.
Why do I like them so much?
I love Oregon.
LSU, Florida State. Who you got? God, I hate this.
Florida State.
I don't even know, man. They're again like Florida State defensively can lock LSU down. If they can lock 2 of their key 3 down, FSU runs 11 guys deep. I'm going to give them the edge.
Yeah,
I'm just filling out the rest of my bracket now for fun.
And once again, the LSU pick, I had LSU just because I'm an ACC guy or SEC guy. So yeah, that's probably too polluted on my part. FSU is the better team, but too inconsistent. LSU's inconsistent. That's a tough one. I love how mixed the bracket is this year with no big blues other than UNC.
Yep.
Some big heavyweight favorites, so it's not just a total push like it was a couple years ago.
I hate going chalk in the bracket, but I got Gonzaga, Alabama, Ohio State, Illinois as my Final Four.
Alabama's a good pick. I picked Michigan originally.
Except for what's his name got hurt. What's his name? Joshua Primo, but he's coming back. They hope he's coming back. If he does, he'll be late into the tournament. But if they get Primo back, they're dangerous in the Final Four.
Yeah. Yeah, they're as good as any team in the nation right now, and I'm really glad it's them and not Auburn again.
You ready?
I'm getting sick of Auburn.
You know who I decided just for the draw? I don't think it might be this, but you know who I'm taking as your national championship matchup just for the lulls?
Alabama.
How about a national football championship rematch? Alabama, Ohio State.
I thought you were going to say Clemson.
Shoot.
No. Yeah, that makes sense. Alabama, Ohio State would be a great matchup.
All right. God, if Alabama wins the national championship, I will never hear from the end of it from my Alabama fans back home.
Yeah.
Never hear the end of it.
I keep saying.
Oh, Keegan's got a great name for it. Beer Canner Ball Club.
Okay.
That's a great name,
I
Keegan.
like it.
That's a great name. Beer Canner Ball Club. That's a great name. Drew, I need to go ahead and warn you in advance that in 10 years, when you hear me on ESPN Big Radio and you hear me playing the game Beer Canner Ball Club, call me and tell me I owe you $50.
All right. $50.
This is a
I'm
great
glad
game.
You just put a flat rate on it. No royalty or anything. Just 50 for the lifetime of it.
You know how much radio doesn't pay.
Right.
Even at the big level.
60 seconds.
We'll have about 7-8 minutes to play. Is that enough time?
Yeah.
How many of these do you have?
That's a good question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We'll call it even 15 and kind of stop there. Okay. I had to redo my list because I got to mix it up all of a sudden, and I'm probably not going to do that on the fly. So I was reordering so it's not all one sports team and then one beer on the picks. So.
Keegan, how you going to feel if Bama wins a basketball championship? As an Auburn guy, you're going to love that. I thought I was never going to hear the end of it. You, my man, with the Bama folks. Whoo, have fun with that.
All right, coming back.
Listening to the Rob Brown Show. Listen on your phone everywhere on the radio.com app. Download the app and make ESPN Upstate a favorite for 24/7 real, unfiltered sports talk.
All right, let's rock and roll. Drew's come up with a fun little game he's going to be in charge of. Keegan, P1 Keegan, has come up with a great name for it. It's called Beer Canner Ball Club. Drew's going to give us a name, and we're going to see if we can determine if the name he gives us is the name of a brand of microcraft beer, or if it's the name of a professional sports organization. Drew, the show's all yours, buddy. Don't crash it.
Happy St. Patty's Day. We're going to start out with Shamrocks. SHAMROX. Shamrocks.
Oh, the X at the end got me. The Shamrocks. I'm going to go that one is a ball club, and I'm going to specify that says it's somewhere in the Massachusetts area.
That would be the Chicago minor league lacrosse team.
All right, there you go. Chicago being in the St. Patrick's Day stuff. Shamrocks, SHAMROX. I was like, you don't have to spell the name, but then you got to the X, and I'm like, ooh, plot twist.
Yeah. I Googled that many times, could not find a beer, but obviously Shamrocks is a drink. The Shamrock Shakes and all that stuff.
I will give you credit. If it is a ball club that shares its name with a beer, then we will mark it up as a ball club since there are so many fewer of them.
Okay. How about Leafer Madness?
Leafer Madness. If it was Leafers or Leafer, I'm going to go beer on this one. That sounds to me like it's a microcry from some hippie that's like, this beer's brewed with leaves.
I need a little cha-ching sound effect over here. Yeah, that's the Beer Valley Brewing Company, Leafer Madness.
All right. I like it. I like it. 2 for 2.
How about the Nuclear Penguins?
Oh, that's got to be a ball club, right? The one thing I didn't think about going into this game is that if there's an S on the end or an X or a plural sound, it's almost inevitable. It feels like almost inevitably that's going to end up being a ball club. I'm going to go ball club here.
Yeah, see, I was trying to make it where I just like had a bunch of beers lined up so I could make it plural.
Here's what we do. Here's what we do. This is what we're going to do. For the sake of the game, take the S off the end. So like the Nuclear Penguin, right? Because that Nuclear Penguin could absolutely be a beer. So for the sake of the game, I am 3 for 3, and I'm calling that. But for the sake of the name, when it does have a plural on the end of it, take the S off of the end of it. It'll sound more beery.
Yeah, I may have to call it a technical on this one. The full name, Tactical Nuclear Penguin, is said to be the strongest beer in the world.
Wow, it's a beer!
Until Brewmeister created Snake Venom, which is another one I wanted to mention as a ball club and try to get you on that one too. But Snake Venom I thought was a little too famous.
I need you to put in, I put in the word tactical and the letter N, and the first thing that came up on Google was Tactical Nuclear Penguin, the world's strongest beer. I have to look this up. Let's see. It is the world's strongest beer with an ABV of 32%. If you don't want to remember your name tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen, try the Tactical Nuclear Penguin.
Until it was beat out by Brewmeister Snake Venom. Snake Venom beat it out by a lot.
Ah, yes, the old almost Park and Rexy. Let's see if Snake Venom beer has an ABV of 67.5%. That's just rubbing alcohol.
Killed it.
What is wrong with you people? All right, let's go to another one. I'm what? That's 3 for no. That's 2 for 3.
Yeah. Let's try the Irish Death.
The Irish Death. That's a beer.
Yeah, it's brewed by Iron Horse Brewery in Ellensburg, Washington.
Nice.
So if you want your Irish Death, you have to go to Washington.
Irish Death. As an Irishman celebrating St. Patrick's Day today. Challenge accepted.
How about the Mad Ants?
That's a sports team.
It is the G League NBA team for Fort Wayne, Indiana.
I've heard. That's why I've actually seen, not watched the game, but seen their logo before. So let's go. What's that? 3 for 4 now.
Yeah.
All right.
The Kelpies.
The Kelpies. Wow. Just because you put the S on the end, I'm going to go sports team there. But acknowledge that I could be totally wrong. I've never heard of that.
It is brewed with Scottish seaweed.
Oh, I would see if you'd have gone Kelpie instead of Kelpie. See, you're throwing my game off here. If you'd have gone Kelpie instead of Kelpies, I might have picked the beer, and that's exactly why I'd have gone somebody. Y'all, they brew beer with damn near everything nowadays. I would have gone with somebody made a seaweed beer, but you got me. So 3 for 5.
That's what it has on the bottle there. Kelpies.
Oh, and so that's a legit name. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Not trying to throw you on that one. Actually.
All right. You got me.
This one is Ninjas in Pajamas.
That's a beer.
That is the legendary Swedish professional esports team.
Oh, come on.
We're going to esports.
You added esports into the mix. All right. I accept defeat on that one. 3 for 6. We are trending downward here, boys. We got time for probably 4 or 5 more.
Well, the other one I wanted to do for esports was called 4 Angry Men, abbreviated 4AM. It's a Chinese esports team.
I 100% would have gone beer for that too.
4 Angry Men, I think, sounds like a beer.
Yep, I'd have 100% gone beer on that.
How about Gandybots?
Gandybots. Well, the S's tricked me a couple times, so I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to go beer.
Yeah, I was trying to look for sports teams that are really, obscure, and there is no team called the Gandybots. It's only a beer. I think that would be a great sports team.
The Gandybots.
It's a robotic Gandhi. Oh, sorry, I'm saying that wrong. Gandhi. But they spell it Gandhi.
Gandhi.
Bots. Gandhi.
The Gandhi
bots.
bots.
Sorry. Yeah.
I still would have gone beer.
I think that would be a great Indian cricket team. Or
competitive robotics team. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll take 4 for 7. We're back on the right path.
Isotopes.
Oh, that's Albuquerque, baby. That's a sports team, the Albuquerque Isotopes.
I knew you were going to do that one, but it was really cool because I found some trivia on it that was taken from a 2001 Simpsons
That's
episode.
right. That's right. The Springfield
100.
Isotopes, and then Albuquerque came along. That's a baseball team, if I recall correctly. And they just straight up stole the name. 4-4. Nope, that's what? That's 5 for 7?
5 for 8.
5 for 8. All right. Still trending up. I like it. We're above 500. That's all I could ask for.
Denver Rush.
The Denver Rush. That's the Denver Rush is going to be I'm going to go indoor football team.
That is the X League, taken from the defunct lingerie football.
That's right. That's why I've heard the name before.
Yeah.
All right, I'll take it. 6 for 9.
Looking for any kind of Rush beer.
Yeah.
Could not find it. I do stand corrected if it is also a beer, but that is what you Google first is that wonderful clips.
Yeah, if it is a sports team and a beer, we give it to the sports team. That's how we're playing the game.
How about babushkas?
The babushkas. Oh my. Let's go beer on the babushkas.
Feral Brewing Company.
Yeah, 7 for 10. That was a good one. I don't hate that one. Babushkas.
The Hungry Hunters.
Ooh. That's a really good one. That's fitty. Let's see, 5 for 9. I really need to hit this one so I don't fall back to 5. No, what is that? 6 for 9. So I got to hold it, stay above 500. I got to get 2 more. The Hungry Hunters, that's a beer.
And I figured you might say a beer until you saw it spelled. Hungry Hunters is the pro chess league from the Hungry.
Come on.
That's the advantage I have.
Trick question.
Feel free to stay 6 for 9.
Nope. Listen, I am not proud. I accept the L. Let's go.
Hungry Hunters.
6 for 10?
Yeah.
All right. Let's get. You got a couple more?
You to know this one. Tortugas.
The Tortugas. That's going to be a beer.
That is the Daytona minor league baseball team named after Tortugas National Park in Florida.
I thought that was a beer brewed down in the Keys.
Now, to be fair, the Tortugas Brewing Company exists, but I did not find a beer
called
named
Tortugas.
Oh. So it is close. I thought you might have heard of both.
Damn.
Tortugas minor league baseball team, also the Tortugas Brewing Company in that.
Oh,
beer.
that one stings.
Yeah.
That one stings. And from my home state, that one stings. 6 for 11. Give me one more. I got to try to end above, a couple ahead of 500.
Trash Panda.
Oh, that's a pro sports team. There was a big thing about them trying to name that team. That's in where is that team? Oklahoma City?
Close. Rocket City.
Rocket City. All right, yeah, I'm gonna go. That's a sports club,
and it is also the name of Parallel 49 Brewing Company.
It is a beer too.
Name.
It is a beer too, but it's definitely a sports team. There was a big, which is basically a raccoon, right? So their logo is a raccoon, but they're called the Trash Pandas. So that's gonna make me 7 for 12.
Yeah.
You got one more? Give me one more.
Yeah.
I like this game. Say it again.
Red Claws.
Red Claws. Oh wow. Wow, you are trying to bring me back down at the end here. Red Claws, 50% chance on this one. The Red Claws. This could go either. You got White Claws as the seltzer. Somebody may have responded by coming Red Claws and giving me like a red amber ale kind of deal. But on the flip side, the Red Claws would make a great team name. Oh, Drew, you have 50% chance. I'm going sports team.
And if we said it's 50-50, we give it sport. Or it is both. It is a red ale Irish style brew, beard, and Gritty McDuff's Brewing Company in Maine.
There you go.
The G League minor NBA team is also in Maine. So Maine is where you find the Red Claws.
I love it. One more. You got one more, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Give me one more, and then we got to run to our break. So that's 8 for 12.
Yeah.
So I'm all right. I'm not falling below 500. I feel good about myself here.
Utopias.
If it was just Utopia, I would probably lean beer. But also, you've thrown me 3 really good curveballs in this competition, so I'm wondering if this isn't another one. I'm gonna go beer on this one.
Samuel Adams.
Yeah, baby! 9 for 13 in the beer or ball club. Screw it. Give me one more. I love this. Give me one more.
Chocolate Rain.
Chocolate Rain. That's a beer. That is a stout.
Yeah. Was that too easy?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
I'm taking credit for it. 10 of 14, but yeah, that was too easy.
Rumble Ponies.
That is a baseball club in New York City, just outside of New York, or what is it, Rochester, New York? Binghamton, New York. That's it.
The fans voted to change from the Mets to Rumble Ponies.
You ready for the trivia behind that? And then we'll take a break. Here's why we've talked about them in the past. Here's why they went with that name. The oldest operational not Ferris wheel. What do you call the thing that goes around in a circle? Carousel. The oldest operational carousel in the United States is in Binghamton, New York, but it was built in like the 40s or the 30s or something. So it's super old and they can only do so much repair on it. And because of that, when the horses go up and down, they rumble up and down. So then they made the mascot's like a kick-ass looking war horse kind of thing, but it's named after the carousel, which are the ponies, and they rumble when they go down. So they're the Binghamton Rumble Ponies. And this is fun. I don't know where it is, but I actually have a hat from them because one of my dearest friends from back in Florida moved back to Binghamton, New York, right at the time that they announced the name. And she knew that I love minor league baseball hats. So she sent me a Binghamton Rumble Ponies hat. I would like to thank you for giving me one I knew to walk off. 10 for 15 on the day, ladies and gentlemen. I ain't mad at it. 66%. Hey, if I was betting 66% in the leagues, I'd be an Insta Hall of Famer, Drew, is all I'm saying. Dude, fantastic game. Well done. Well done. That's fantastic, man. We may have to bring you back in every now and then just to play that game, man. That's great. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, Drew, as he continues the Drew Hour, has a fantastic story for us about his role in the filming of Avengers Endgame. I want you to decide if Drew is telling us the truth or making the whole thing up. That's next on The Rob Brown Show and ESPN Upstate.
Dispensing real, unfiltered sports talk every weekday noon to 3. This is The Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
There's no such thing as quality of life when you're constantly in pain.
Audio's up still?
No play without the pain.
Bro, that was fantastic, dude.
Awesome.
That was fantastic. I really like that.
Cool.
Well done.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we got to play it.
That was really
I didn't know
good.
if you would trust me. I almost had it ready yesterday, and I was like, oh, wait, St. Patty's Day. Because I got the trivia jacket.
Yeah. Dude, I like that game. Even if you're not working on the show, I'd like to bring you on every now and then. I don't know how many. I mean, there's infinite numbers of beers. But if you can keep finding team names to justify it being a game,
right?
Dude, I have you on every once a week or every other week to play around a beer or ball club. And when we get back to where we can start giving prizes out, I'd love to have listeners come on and take that challenge.
Yeah,
that's
a great
awesome.
idea. It is hard to find ball clubs that I didn't think you were going to be familiar with. I knew you knew the baseball, basketball was. I knew the esports would have you, so at least I had an ace in the hole.
Yeah, and that's great. No, that's great. Like, because I know there's a ton of esports teams, and even if you want to start getting into obscure ones, like Mexico's national soccer team. If you want to go nicknames, they call them El Tri. I mean, that's a great one. The only thing, like I said, the only thing that I would suggest is if a sports team has an S on the end of it, drop the S.
Yeah.
And if a beer name has the S on the end of it, I might even drop. I don't know. Could you change the name of the beer? I don't know how to. Let's think about that.
Yeah.
Because like some of them, but then again, if you can keep finding beer names that have S's on the end of it, then maybe it doesn't matter. Yeah.
It really was. It was enough to kind of throw you off a couple of them. So
yeah.
I knew a few at the beginning were going to be kind of obvious.
Yeah.
My biggest fear with this game is you would just know all. That's a beer. That's so I was kind of nervous about it.
No, I mean, I knew I know. I think I knew like 5 of them right off the bat. Like 5 of them I just knew. Trash Pandas. I'm stunned I didn't know the Tortugas. Stunned.
Yeah, I am too. I really thought that was going to be the walkout one, but that's okay. They're not famous for a reason. Tortugas. That may have been a kind of a new baseball league team. I didn't dive too much in the research of all these teams.
All right, we will. I want to tell this story, but we're kind of going to have to do the abridged version of it because when we come back, we'll have about 5 minutes for it.
Okay. Yeah, because we got one more break. I don't see any more live reads. I got the health there. I got Lonzo's recorded thing now. Oh, and then Twitter trending topics. Yeah, that may suck a little more today than usual.
That's all right. Well, it's going to be short, though, so it won't matter.
Okay. Yeah, if we push anything, let's push that one.
Yeah.
Because it's all sports stuff that we talked about, brackets and everything popping up. Yeah, I got a few. 30 seconds.
Chocolate rain. God, chocolate rain. Remember when that was like the meme? Chocolate rain. To remake that song, man. So good. Can you phrase it? Would you drink a nuclear penguin or watch a nuclear penguin? Oh, that's not bad. I got to tell you, Keegan, Beer Can or Ball Club is the best contribution you've made to this show since I started it. That's beautiful.
That's us.
Downs, the ins and outs, real, unfiltered sports talk. It's the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate.
All right, Beer Can or Ball Club was a huge hit, a ton of text. Got some messages on the stream. Keegan said, I completely stopped working for this segment. This is a huge win. Add some music and sound effects. Boom. Next level. Totally agree. Texter says, how do you miss the Tortugas? They play in Jackie Robinson Ballpark. I don't know, and they're in my home state. I don't know how I've never heard of the Tortugas. I absolutely should have gotten that one. I am embarrassed by that. Drew can stay when Zoe comes back. Just roll with 3 people. The beer game, I can't wait. That was before it, but I loved it. And ESPN, hi, Rob. Next time you have the golf lady on your show, that's Savannah Lee from the Brunswick News. She'll be on tomorrow. Bust her chops for me. I took her picks on FanDuel, Rory, Victor Hovland, and Scotty Scheffler, and all 3 missed the cut. Give her a good-natured jab for me. Hashtag Ray and Greer Ray. I will absolutely do that for you. Although if you'd have listened to your boy, you definitely wouldn't taken Rory McIlroy. I didn't love the other 2 picks either. Not that I picked well, but maybe it had a chance. All right. I want to do this real quick. And again, those of you watching on the stream, you heard this story off the air. And this is why you want to join the stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. Drew and I, during this week, when Zoe comes back next week, me and Alonzo, we actually have conversations off the air, many of which actually end up becoming on-air topics. So you get to look behind the scenes, and sometimes I throw out and let you guys pick the next segment. So join the stream at facebook.com/ESPN Upstate. So one of the conversations that Drew and I were having, Drew revealed to me that he was a stand-in during the filming of Avengers Endgame, a filming, by the way, which was taking place around the same time they were filming the first Avengers. They were putting down scenes for Endgame already. Give us that story, Drew.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to talk to people about what I've been doing with my life. When I graduated college, they went on to radio and television careers, and I wanted to get involved with the movie industry. Not because I'm a fantastic actor. I just was fascinated by it, moved to Atlanta for that reason. The first time I got a part of a movie set was Trouble with the Curve. They were shooting in Young Harris, Georgia, up toward where my parents lived. They said, hey, if you're a Bears, get on this side. If you're a Red Devils, get on this side. We were all these fans, hundreds and hundreds of fans, all lining up to be on set. So boom, I was first in line to get up there. And they said, if you're first in line, you're back of the line. Everybody turn around. We're going this way. We're only going to take 50 of you. And I never made it to that movie set. So I got bored, started helping with the catering and just taking out the trash for them because there was nothing to do on set. So I got to know the Italian people. He goes, hey, we're shooting Iron Man in Wilmington. Would you like to come be a part of the catering crew?
Nice.
Like, well, let me think about it. Hell yeah. So I kind of got on set with Avengers the first time with the second Iron Man. That's what they were shooting in Wilmington, and commuted there from Georgia. We shot in Raleigh. The catering crew was some of the hardest work I've ever done, but I was like, there's got to be an easier way to get on a movie set. My friend said, be a stand-in. I didn't know what that was. To be a stand-in, you have to already be a stand-in. You need that experience before you have any experience. That's your only way in. I said, well, how do I do this? He said, you just lie and tell them you're already a stand-in. I said, oh, yeah, that makes sense. So he gave me all the rundown of what to say and how to get in on this. But the stand-in for the actor, they need real actors who are not as great at acting, obviously, to stand and watch the actor live on set to mimic the motions for the lighting, for the camera, so the actor's not standing there doing nothing for 8 hours. They got other stuff they need to do, or they can even leave while we're setting up the shot. So the stand-in is kind of for the first 6 hours, you think, wow, I'm getting paid to do this. And then for the next 6 hours, you're thinking, wow, this is hard. They really do need somebody to do this. So I was ending up on a lot of trashy shows. Have you ever heard of Happen Leonard?
I have not.
I had neither, and I can see why. I'm watching it being shot, and I know this is a stupid show. As I'm standing there next to these actors that I look up later, they're really famous, but they're just not impressive to me. And so I get another email that says, hey, can you be on set 5 a.m. tomorrow for Mary Lou? All right, here's another redneck show, just like Happen Leonard. I show up, and they say, you're not on our list. I said, yeah, I'm a last-second sub. I'm probably not. They say, okay, we'll go see Wardrobe. Wardrobe didn't have me on the list. I didn't know what to do. I said, if you need me to go home, if you don't need me. And they said, well, we might use you. Just hang around. I'm not sure what's going on. And then all of a sudden, Scarlett Johansson walked by me.
I've had that dream too.
I said, I know where I am now. Mary Lou was a code name because they don't use Avengers for shooting when you're shooting down toward the airport. And so, boom, once you're in, you're in. And I found out I was Jeremy Renner's stand-in and got to see the first thing you see when you walk in is Chris Hemsworth totally overweight and just chowing down like there's no tomorrow.
You saw Fat Thor!
And I didn't know what was going on. Why is he fat? Why is he sad? What he is rocking it in the movies that are coming out right now. And I had no clue. I was totally lost on the storyline.
By the way, when that scene dropped in Endgame, I was watching with the girl I was dating at the time who was like way out of my league, right? And I looked at her and I was like, see, me and Chris Hemsworth had the same body.
Yeah. I got a Thor body. That's what I told everybody, but no one knew what I was talking about when I say I have a Thor body.
So real quick, because we got a couple of minutes left before we got to hit the break. What was the experience of being a stand-in for Jeremy Renner? Give us a scene that you got to stand in for and had some knowledge about that you had to keep secret.
The knowledge about when they were on the lake shouting at each other about ways that they could have prevented Natasha's death. And he goes, all right, you go talk to the man with the little sword wand thingy. And Jeremy Renner kept he's Hawkeye, for those of you who don't know who Jeremy Renner is. Hawkeye kept, I guess, playing with that line so much and really messing with the emotion. So it changed a lot. And of course, I don't have any lines, but the emotion of it really changed for the camera. But that was a big moment for me the first time he said that. I almost ruined the take. What? So that was really sad when I found that out.
So now when you're doing a stand-in for Jeremy Renner, is it like when other actors are doing their thing and getting their moments down, you just kind of stand where he would be standing for them to act to kind of thing?
Yes, you have to stand there and you watch the monitor and mimic the emotions because the director, the first AD will ask you, how were they doing this? And I have to show them exactly what the actor did because the actor made the decisions, but it's up to me to show the cameraman this is what the scene looks like. So they do not a first rehearsal, a first take, and then they bring in the second team. If you didn't do your job and watch what the actor did, you're probably not going to be asked back.
All right. So I have one more question for you. Besides how freaking awesome was that experience? Two more questions for you. Number one, and we got about a minute left. How difficult was it for you to keep the secrets from what you saw until the movie dropped?
I mean, when you're having that much fun, you don't want to lose that job. The best time ever was just talking to Scarlett's double, sweetest girl. We had a lot in common. We just talked and talked because it's hours of doing nothing.
Did you ask for a date? Be honest. Did you ask for a date?
Oh, she was already married. But yeah. It didn't stop me. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I asked her a lot of questions. I said, how many times do you ask if you're Scarlett Johansson? She said at least once.
All right. And the second question, this is where it's going to be interesting. When that movie dropped and you're watching it and you know the big secrets and the spoilers and most of what's going to happen, etc. When it was over, did you watch the end credits to see if your name showed up? I got a listener who asked me that a little while ago.
Yeah, I did. Did not see my name in there, and that's fine. I don't think because I was really only on there for 2 weeks, so I can't really blame them. I was a last second sub if my name didn't make it, but no, I'm not as worried about that, to be honest. If I looked up my IMDb, and there's all kinds of credits I have that I did not do the movie sets. So I am not touching that.
Listen to my man. I got my own. I'm working on getting a Wikipedia page. Drew set our straight up on IMDb. All right, hold on to that because the saga of Marvel Studios famed actor Drew returns tomorrow in the same segment to finish up that story. Between now and then, I'll let you listeners decide, is Drew telling us the truth? I got to say, it's a lot of detail to be made up. Quick break, very abbreviated Twitter trending topics to wrap it up next on The Rob Brown Show. It's ESPN Upstate.
You're listening to The Rob Brown Show. Listen on your Amazon or Google smart speaker. Just say, play ESPN Upstate.
Take that audio out if you don't mind, boss. Dude, that was fantastic.
That was fun.
That was even better than I thought it was going to be.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. That was awesome.
Well, thank you. This is really fun.
I'm like super jealous of you right now.
It was such a weird decision to make in just years. And then all of a sudden at that moment, it was totally worth it.
Oh, hell yeah.
Didn't pay anything. Couldn't survive off it. But
so like it didn't pay a lot or like legit got no money for it?
It was standard rate is $200 over 12 hours, which is better than an extra. I've done a lot of extra work. But you just never know if you're going to have to come back or what the schedule's going to be. So.
I mean, that's $16 an hour.
Yeah.
Over $16 an hour.
Yeah. And that $200.
If you offered me $16 an hour to stand on the set of a major Marvel movie and interact with whatever actors you got to interact with, yeah, I will be there from win till win. Holler at your boy.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yep. Unforgettable.
Yeah, we will bring that back up if you don't mind. Probably less time tomorrow. Well, we'll be more on time tomorrow, but finish talking about that tomorrow since it's the last day I'm in this week.
Yeah, I can ramble about it. I think I was almost.
Oh, I just want more. I just want more anecdotes.
Yeah. Yep. It's one of those things I used to overshare way too much. I used to visit a new church on Sunday. Who are you? I'm Drew Townsend. I'm in Avengers.
Dude, I would never shut up about it.
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Rob. I was a stand-in for Avengers Endgame. I knew everything that was happening before it happened. Would you like to go out with me?
Right.
Absolutely. That's good stuff. Is that, I mean, obviously that's the biggest movie you've been a part of. Have you been a part of any other ones that we would know?
I was in several Tyler Perry stuff.
Really?
Yeah. I was like a random jogger. And he says, you'll get more airtime than almost anybody else because I'm the establishing shot.
Right.
So every time they come back to the house, there's like me jogging and I'm not a jogger look. Black Lightning was cool.
Black Lightning? Really?
DC show, yeah.
Yeah, oh, I know it.
Okay. I didn't know it at the time. That's kind of embarrassing. Oh, my brother made great airtime when he was in the Kevin Hart movie, Night School.
I remember that one too. I didn't see it.
Did not do well.
No, it did not.
But my phone blew up with texts randomly throughout that month. Was that your brother? I was like, yeah, he got more screen time in the first 6 months of movie acting than I did in 60 years. And I didn't want the airtime. I liked that behind the scenes, but
right.
I still tease him about that. I was like,
that's freaking awesome. So the best way to get starting in acting is just straight up lie about it.
Yep.
I'm for it. That's incredible. We aren't going to have time for any of them.
You're right.
Just bring us back with a regular bumper.
Alrighty.
We'll just skip it.
Got it. $20 seconds.
Need my audio back, please. All right, wrapping it up. Thanks for hanging out with us today. Skipping Twitter trending topic because I had to have that story from Drew. Obviously. Before we get out of here, remind you this is your chance to win $1,000 in the $1,000 cash dash on ESPN Upstate. The key for this upcoming hour is midnight. MIDNIGHT midnight. Text that keyword midnight to 72881 for your chance to win $1,000. Powered by BetQL. Let BetQL's proven data and analytics help you become a better. Download the BetQL app today. Again, the keyword is midnight. Text it in the next hour to 72881. Mark Ryan and Diesel up next. Thanks to Drew for his hard work. Thanks to y'all for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll try harder tomorrow on the Rob Brown Show on ESPN Upstate. Later. Those of you on the stream, appreciate you. We'll see you next time. For Drew, I'm Rob. Later.